so much. I really credit so much for helping me awaken to look at things in a different way. And I cannot thank you enough.
I am proud of doing so and thrilled that I did.
The Dennis Prager Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
Message and data rates may apply.
Help! Seriously, I am too young for hair loss.
My hairline keeps creeping back. Receding?
I got this bald spot.
Oh, it's thinning everywhere.
I'm gonna have to give up and shave it.
Dude, put down the razor, because Bosley, America's #1 hair restoration expert, is about to give you your real hair back permanently. Don't ignore the signs of hair loss. Bosley is giving away an absolutely free information kit that reveals all the signs, and a free gift card to anyone who texts SECRET to 85850. Bosley will show you for free how great your hair could look. Using the latest technology, Bosley's solution to hair loss is permanent and protected by the Bosley Guarantee. Plus, since Bosley has new non-surgical options, you owe it to yourself to text now for an absolutely free information kit and a gift card for $250 off, no matter what level of hair loss you have. Text SECRET to 85850. That's SECRET to 85850.
President Trump is fighting back against Pelosi's impeachment. You can find out what Trump really thinks and get the biggest news on Newsmax TV. Already America's fastest growing cable news channel, Newsmax TV has shows with Mike Huckabee, Michelle Malkin, Bill O'Reilly, and many more. Find Newsmax TV on DirecTV 349, Dish 216, Xfinity 1115, Optimum 102, Fios 615, Spectrum, Suddenlink, Uverse, or check your channel guide. Newsmax TV is real news for real people.
Are you looking for senior care for your mom or dad but don't know where to start? Hi, I'm Jen London with The Place for Mom. Nobody knows your parent or loved one better than you, and nobody knows senior living better than the experts at A Place for Mom. It's a free service, and we've helped thousands of families find the right place for their mom or dad. There's a place for answers, a place for mom. Call today.
Call A Place for Mom at 1-800-391-1755. That's 1-800-391-1755.
At Panera, get breakfast that's fast, not fast food. Try a new Chipotle chicken scrambled egg and avocado breakfast wrap and pair it with a premium freshly ground, freshly brewed coffee. All ready to go with the push of a button. Panera, food as it should be.
5:09 AM 560 Traffic Center time is a service of Permaseal. It's time for a dry basement and a healthy home. Time to call Permaseal, 800-421-SEAL. Let's get the traffic as well with Jim Talamonte.
In Orland Park this morning, Southwest Highway remains closed between 131st and 135th Streets due to flooding. Kennedy inbound traffic moves well despite the wet conditions. The express lane should open shortly inbound. Inbound Eisenhower, the exit to the outbound Kennedy is closed. That too should be reopening shortly. We have some ramp closures on I-57 outbound. The on and off ramps at eastbound 167th closed till 6 this morning. Otherwise, it's wet and quiet on the expressways and tollways. The Chicago Teachers Union plans to protest on the north side with marches to Lincoln Yards later this morning. That's traffic. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560 The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answers starts next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning Weather Center. Here's our meteorologist, Steve Williams.
Could pick up a shower or two early this morning. Otherwise, a chilly day. Clouds will give way to some sun. The high today, 44. Clouds and rain tonight with the low 34. And then chilly with occasional rain tomorrow and the high at 42. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
35 at O'Hare, 39 along Chicago's lakefront. Your next news update at 5:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy starts next on AM 560, The Answer.
Hi, this is Dan Frio with the Mortgage Update. Is the lack of having enough money in the bank holding you back from buying a home? The state of Illinois is helping first-time home buyers with this issue with a program you can only get through a limited number of lenders that's hand-picked by the state, and I'm one of those preferred lenders. This program is a grant up to $10,000 to help you with your down payment and also cover closing costs. Stop paying your landlord's mortgage and get on the path to buying your own home. Since this is a grant program, Funding can run out at any time, so call now and reach out to me personally. Just pick up the phone and call 844-775-LOAN. That's 844-775-LOAN to reach me personally, or visit me on the web at windmortgage.com. That's windmortgage.com.
Parkside Lending, LLC is an Illinois residential mortgage licensee and an equal housing lender. NMLS 176162.
Hi, I'm Paul Cutler, pastor of Grace Lutheran Church in Streamwood, a proud donor of AM 560's Food for the Poor campaign. Grace is a gathering of regular people who love God, love each other, and reach out to others with the love of Christ. Mercy Community, a spirit-filled black church, and Iglesia Jerusalem, an Hispanic congregation, also meet on Grace's campus. We all work together to make a difference in the world. If you've had little or no experience with church, Grace is the place for you. If you've had a less than great experience with church, Grace is the place for you. If you want to learn more about God, more about yourself, and more about life, I personally invite you to check us out at gracestheplace.net or call us at 630-289-3996 or like us on Facebook at Grace is the Place ST. That's gracestheplace.net or 630-289-3996 or like us on Facebook at Grace is the Place ST. I look forward to meeting you.
Dr. David Kolbaba.
I know, the holiday season is coming right for us.
It's coming right for us!
Yep, but I got to tell you about our special holiday survival event. So you want to make this year better and lower the stress and strain of it all? Well, it just might be what the doctor ordered at our holiday survival event, where we're going to share some practical common sense strategies to make it all happen. We're going to cover it all. And of course, have some fun. And you'll leave this event with awesome alternatives, making for less stress and more fun this holiday season. So are you up for something special? It's our holiday survival event, Saturday afternoon, November the 9th. Call our HealthQuest radio hotline to make your reservation. Call 800-794-1855. Make this holiday season something to remember on the positive side of things.
So live a life you will remember.
That's 800-794-1855. And remember to listen to HealthQuest Radio with me, Dr. David Kolbaba, heard every Saturday morning at 11 right here on AM 560, The Answer. That's 800-794-1855.
This is attorney Stephen Leahy, host of the IRS Radio Hour, heard right here on AM 560 every Sunday evening at 5 o'clock. Let me tell you about Bill. Bill's business slowed down and he fell behind on his taxes. Instead of filing his tax return, he decided to wait until he could pay. Well, 1 year turned to 2, turned to 3. Then the IRS threatened to contact his customers, take his house, his bank account, and his passport. Well, Bill hired me. We filed all of his tax returns and an appeal to slow the IRS down. Then we worked out an installment agreement based on how much he could pay, not on how much he owed. Now Bill can rely on the IRS protection plan. We will file his future tax returns and keep the IRS off his back so Bill can focus on growing his business. If you have questions about the IRS, you can get a copy of my book, Deal with Your IRS Problem Today, to learn the secrets of solving your IRS problem and save your business, your marriage, and your reputation. Call 312-664-6649 or go to freeirsbook.com.
Tom Killeran Photography is ready to memorialize your next event with photos that come to life and preserve the memories for generations. They can accommodate your large group photos to individual portraits, wallet size to panoramic. They can even print your photos on location as a take-home keepsake for your party guests. Visit KilleranPhotography.com. AM 560 The Answer hired Tom Killeran Photography for our annual charity golf outing, and the finished product was amazing. Book Tom Killeran Photography for your upcoming corporate event, family reunion, wedding, bar mitzvah, or any event you want to capture forever. And those old family videos you have on VHS tape, it's time to preserve them forever. Tom Killeran Photography can transfer your beloved memories to DVD and can restore your older faded photos or enlarge them. Visit KilleranPhotography.com. KilleranPhotography.com. KILLORAN Photography.com. This hourly segment is brought to you by the Money Hour Radio Show, Saturday afternoons at 3 on AM 560, The Answer. Brought to you by Pearshell Financial Group.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Emil should be here shortly, just cleaning up all those bras that were burned in Lakeview in protest of President Trump's visit, and that was the men of Lakeview burning those bras. President Trump took it straight to Eddie Johnson in his speech before the Police Chiefs Association at McCormick Place yesterday in Chicago. President Trump started with a few bon mots to the assembled police chiefs.
You don't hear it enough. You do an incredible job. The people of this country know it. And the people of this country love you. You don't hear that from these people back here, but they love you. You don't hear it from the fake news. The fake news doesn't like talking about that, but they love you.
One person to whom the love was not extended was the person not there yesterday.
But there is one person that's not here today. We're in Chicago. I said, where is he? I want to talk to him. In fact, more than anyone else, this person should be here because maybe he could learn something. And that's the superintendent of Chicago Police, Eddie Johnson. A few days ago, Johnson said, quote, the values of the people of Chicago are more important than anything President Trump would have to say. I don't think so. Because that's a very insulting statement after all I've done for the police. And I've done more than any other president's ever done for the police. But remember, 565 people were murdered last year. And it's a shame. And I want Eddie Johnson to change his values and change them fast.
312-642-5600, Turnkey.pro answer line. 64636-DA, Turnkey.pro text line. You happy that President Trump used Eddie Johnson as an example, called him out by name, and took Chicago to task for the violence that has metastasized in this city, unlike any other city, any other big city in the country? Was Trump right to do so? By the way, of 565 murders last year and 600 before then and 800 before then.
Oh, yeah, but Ben Bradley from WGN Now pointed out POTUS falsely claims Afghanistan is safer than Chicago. At least 717 civilians have been killed by Afghan and coalition force in the first 6 months of the year. We're down 11% this year, Dan. Our murders, 413.
So coalition forces killing terrorists,
right? Kind of
is
different.
equivalent to citizens of citizens of this country, residents of Chicago, killing each other. Number one, that's number one. Number two, I saw some other Dumas on Chicago tonight making the same argument. Do you know how far down the rabbit hole you are when your response to what the president said is to argue whether or not Chicago is safer than Afghanistan? Do you think by winning that argument, you're winning something?
413 murders.
3,000 shootings every year, too, and Trump was right to point that out. 3,000 shootings. It's only because of the skill of our medical professionals in this city and advances in medical technology that the body count is not significantly higher. So I'm sorry, the patting ourselves on the back because we have a lot of safe neighborhoods too, just like Afghanistan does. What the hell are you talking about? It's a third world country controlled by Islamic terrorists, you knuckleheads. That's just how poisonous is the Stockholm Syndrome that afflicts this city. We actually take Trump's bait and argue the merits of whether or not Chicago is or is not safer than Kabul, for goodness sakes.
They're trying to pull out homicide statistics.
Oh, I know.
I mean, it's unbelievable.
It's going well except for the deaths.
And Eddie Johnson said, I'm not going to get caught up in the negativity.
Bike thefts are down.
Oh, they are.
Yeah, homicides we still have a problem with. But did I tell you about bike thefts? Eddie Johnson had his own press availability. And
because he was there monitoring the streets to make sure the people at the convention were safe. Okay.
I'm sure they appreciate that, Eddie Johnson responding to the president.
I can tell you that we are making measurable progress in creating safer neighborhoods and building a world-class police department that the entire country can be proud of. That's evident by the thousands of police officers, professionals, and executives that are here in Chicago this week to see the Chicago turnaround.
Is that why
The president
they
is
came to
right
town?
about one thing.
They came for the restaurants, my friend.
Violent crime in the United States declined last year for the second consecutive year, according to FBI statistics. National murder rate fell by 6%, but it was Chicago that set the table for those reductions. Since 2016, gun violence in this city is down by almost 40%. We've made double-digit reductions in robberies, burglaries, and auto thefts, being at 20-year lows, while instilling a philosophy of community policing that centers around trust, transparency, and accountability. Today, the same police officers the president criticized for their inability to protect this city spent all day protecting him.
In point of fact, he wasn't criticizing rank-and-file police officers. He was criticizing you. And he was criticizing the civilian political leadership of the city, which deserves criticism, both those civilian political leaders and the politicians who behaved, or who's the superintendents who behaved like politicians that preceded you, but now including you and Mayor Lightfoot. That's who he's talking about. So it's a nice effort to run a misdirection play and say he's talking about rank-and-file officers. In point of fact, he recognized Adam Wozni, who was there, the officer shot in the line of duty. He gave love and respect to rank-and-file officers. Who he is talking about is political hacks in uniforms like you, Eddie Johnson, I'm sorry to say.
You know, it's the national narrative that Chicago's a city on fire is just simply not true. We have our challenges on the south and west side, but I want to remind people that we also have 17 neighborhoods in this city that are safer than Manhattan and L.A.
Oh, well, are you in one of those neighborhoods? Because I know I might live in one, but I often go to the neighborhoods that aren't safe.
What is Eddie Johnson saying? It's the same thing he said under the previous regime.
Oh, yeah, we have 3 districts where all the shootings are, and the rest of Chicago is safe.
We have violence contained, like he's George Kennan talking about the spread of communism post-World War II. And by the way, we have problems on the south and west sides. The translation, a translation you could make, the press corps would make if the police chief and the mayor were white, is, yeah, we have a problem in the black neighborhoods, but not the white neighborhoods. Isn't that what he's saying?
Yeah.
The south and west, yeah, we have this problem on the south and west side. Oh, the 600 people murdered and the 3,000 people shot. Yeah, we got this little nuisance thing. Oh, the south, yeah, problem there. But hey.
But everywhere else is safe. Please come visit. Spend your tourism dollars. Yeah.
Yeah, head over to Navy Pier. No problem. Head down to the Mag Mile. You got no problem. Remarkable. And he's cloaking himself in Chicago values, which, of course, is just a euphemism for Chicago politics, which is all about we're in it for the little guy, particularly the little guy who's a minority. And in point of fact, that's exactly who gets the shortest shrift in Chicago. The little guys in the south and west sides. They have neither safety, nor good schools, nor job opportunities, nor the pride and that comes from ownership, private ownership of the means of your survival. That's all at the city's whim. I mean, it was a disgusting and telling response from Eddie Johnson, who is just a company man for a company of cultural Marxists. Scott in Aurora, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring up the fact that I think our president is one of the only ones that stands up for the police, and for Eddie Johnson to not show up for that is pretty ridiculous. I think he takes a lot of heat for doing that. And on another note, I also think that Eddie Johnson probably would have also went to one of Obama's speeches, and Obama hated the cops. So, I'm trying to figure out where he aligns when he's talking about, Trump wanting to come to the table, like, seriously. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Thanks, Scott. Yeah.
He talked about values 2 days ago. He's not going to go because Trump doesn't share Chicago's values.
Yeah, Chicago values, which is a euphemism for Chicago politics. And by the way, isn't he right? Isn't he right that what has become Chicago values is Chicago politics? You want Chicago politics to reflect your values? Or you want, when you think about your values, do you think about Chicago politics? Because that's what Eddie Johnson means, because that's who he's serving. And by contrast, here's who President Trump was here to serve.
But an attack on law enforcement is an attack on all Americans. It's true.
Attack on law enforcement is an attack on all Americans. Is that inconsistent with Chicago values, Eddie? Lori? Marty in Naperville.
Hey, Dan, great show today. I put three things. One, real quick, you're absolutely right. I was going to say the same thing. Donald Trump did not criticize police officers. He criticized Eddie Jackson, and, of course, he's got to turn that around. Number two, what exactly are Chicago values? And number three, what makes a grown adult stand in front of the Trump Tower and take a selfie of himself flipping off a building that has 20-foot sign says Donald Trump? This is my build. What? This town is it's ridiculous.
Oh, Marty, it's worse.
You guys are perfect this morning and everything.
They did
Thanks,
a moon.
Marty.
Remember when they mooned the Trump Tower? They had a unanimous. Oh, 1, 2, 3. Pull your pants down. Woo! I mean, how dumb do they look doing that?
Dennis in Crystal Lake.
Hey, Dan, Amy, this is Dennis.
Yeah.
Good to hear from you guys.
Good to hear from
you. This guy couldn't make it, and he has a legitimate reason. He Buzz Lightfoot had to have him have a couple drinks before it, and she held him at the house. And him saying about white neighborhoods, there's 2 white neighborhoods predominantly on the south side left. It's in the Garfield Ridge area, and then it's in the Mount Greenwood area. That's it. The rest is people of color.
Well,
So
I know. Yeah, okay.
Whatever getting done, I know. But the thing of it is, the south side, where I grew up, 61st and St. Louis, the Market Park area, where I could walk naked down the street at 3 in the morning, and
sure
I
you
would not
did.
get hassled.
Yeah. Thanks for the call, Dennis. I'm sure you put that to the test on many an occasion. Bert in Lake Zurich.
Hey, Dan and Amy. Hey, Eddie Johnson's crime stats are completely disingenuous, and they're wrong. If you look at thefts to auto, burglary to auto incidents that occur in Lincoln Park, I was just looking at one of your competitors, and, well, you don't have any competitors, but I was looking at another news source, one of the Lakeview crime blogs and also the Chicago Police crime blog, and basically you have burglaries to auto are up 300%, 3 times the number of break-ins to cars in certain Lincoln Park neighborhoods. I think you'll also look in the police blog that you had one of the visitors attending the IACP convention, actually a female police officer, actually was robbed on Rush Street the night before the convention started. And I can tell you also, I've been in Chicago and in Afghanistan. And when I was in Afghanistan, I used to take headlines of the police of Chicago shootings in different neighborhoods, and we would have a game on whether or not that occurred in Afghanistan or Chicago. And most of the time, the other people serving with me in Afghanistan couldn't pick out whether or not that event happened in Afghanistan or Chicago because Chicago is so violent. Thank you for the call.
Thank you for the call,
and that
Bert.
information.
Yeah, that's remarkable. Here's the thing you're not considering, though. Jaywalking is down 72% in the last 24 months.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We'll pick up a little bit more of what President Trump had to say while he was in town and also offer Lori Lightfoot's response to the president, 538.
And later, President Trump offered another glimmer of hope for Blago. We'll explain, but first into the newsroom we go. Here is Mike Scott.
35 and snow, officially. Snow. Sugar Grove, Waukegan, and a few flakes at O'Hare, officially this morning. Chicago Teachers Union and the city are expected to resume contract talks today following a long session at the bargaining table. Bargaining teams from both sides went home early this morning following a marathon 16 hours of negotiations. CTU General Counsel Robert Block says the union laid out their path for a deal and is waiting to hear from the city. Democrats are planning next steps this morning towards possibly moving forward with the impeachment of President Donald Trump. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says the House will vote Thursday simply to establish procedure in the ongoing impeachment inquiry led by Democrats. Counselor to the president, Kellyanne Conway, is blasting Adam Schiff's moves on the story with Martha McCallum last night.
He's a TV camera. He runs toward it, and then he lies and he leaks. This man has no credibility. He read a parody of an account of a phone call that never existed on the House floor as the chairman of the Intelligence Committee to open up the sham impeachment inquiry in the first place.
Republican lawmakers had previously blasted House Democrats for opening an impeachment inquiry without those types of procedures established. Masked gunmen opened fire at Iraqi protesters in the Shiite holy city of Karbala on this morning, killing 18, wounding hundreds. Security officials say it was one of the deadliest single attacks on protesters since anti-government demonstrations erupted earlier this month. There have been fresh protests and fiery attacks on businesses erupting in Chile today, despite President Sebastián Piñera's replacement of 8 key cabinet ministers with more centrist officials. The CEO of Boeing says mistakes were made. Dennis Muhlenberg will testify today and tomorrow at 2 congressional hearings. In prepared testimony, Muhlenberg apologized to everyone impacted by the 2 deadly plane crashes 5 months apart. People in Northern California may have to deal with more rolling blackouts. Millions may be in the dark due to what they're calling high fire danger in that state. Pacific Gas and Electric spokesperson Rob Stillwell.
It means that we have to take extra time and make sure that there's been no damage to the equipment.
A judge in Michigan ruling there is enough evidence to prosecute a former university president on charges of lying to police about now convicted serial abuser Larry Nassar. Judge says former Michigan State University president Luann Simon knowingly and willfully misled police officers in 2014. Elmhurst College will remain closed today as officials investigate threatening graffiti messages found on the West Suburban campus. And an investigation is underway after a toddler was struck and killed by a vehicle over the weekend in Lisle. Police say the 23-month-old boy was in a private driveway Sunday in the 2200 block of Christian Lane when he was struck by a vehicle driven by a woman. Knicks rally from 18 down to beat the Bulls, 105-98. Blackhawks begin a 4-game road trip tonight at Nashville. 5:34, and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Sean Hannity sees shady business in Washington.
What they're doing here is their little secret Soviet-style impeachment coup attempt. This is not how this process works. This kangaroo court, this is not a legitimate process. This inquiry is constitutionally invalid.
The Sean Hannity Show. Afternoons at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
Policies issued by American General Life Insurance Company, Houston, Texas. Not available in all states. For details, visit AIGdirect.com.
Do you have a family? Would you like to help make sure they'll be taken care of if anything were to happen to you? If you answered yes, you probably need life insurance. Now, do you think life insurance is expensive? If you answered yes to that too, you definitely need to give AIG Direct a call. We could find you a $250,000 policy for just $14 a month, which means you could save hundreds of dollars a year. Call us now for a free, no-obligation quote. 1-800-600-5451. Since 1995, we've helped millions of people find out if they could save up to 70% on their term life insurance. See how affordably we can help you protect your family. Call AIG Direct now for your free quote. 1-800-600-5451. You could save up to 70%. That's 1-800-600-5451. 1-800-600-5451.
This is Lon Chen of the Hoover Institution for Townhall.com. The Democrats seem to have an impeachment problem. Recent polling from the New York Times and Siena College shows that in 6 swing states that President Trump won in 2016, registered voters generally support the impeachment inquiry, but oppose impeaching the president and removing him from office by a margin of 53 to 43%. So, the more Democrats pursue the impeachment of President Trump, the more it seems to work against them. That's because this pursuit seems to come at the expense of progress on the issues voters actually care about, like jobs, the state of the economy, and keeping our communities and country safe. Historically, it's been these issues that have a greater impact on the outcome of elections. Nancy Pelosi has boasted that Democrats can walk and chew gum at the same time. In other words, pursue both impeachment and progress on the pocketbook issues that Americans care about. But in watching them recently, you have to wonder if that's really true. I'm Lan Hee Chen.
Sponsored by ADF, Alliance Defending Freedom.
Blue Emu supports healthy muscles and joints. Blue Emu works fast and you won't stink.
5:37 AM 560 traffic center time. Here is Jim Talamonte.
Rain, fog, and snow are all factors in different parts of the Chicago area this morning. There was a flooding closure at Orland Park, but Southwest Highway has reopened between 131st Street and 135th. Expressways and tollways are wet. Traffic's heavy early on the Stevenson with delays Harlem to Kedzie and Ashland to the Ryan, where a collision blocks the right lane. It's 42 minutes, 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive. Inbound Ryan, you've got a 3-minute delay from Cermak into the Burns Circle. Now Bishop Ford, got a 5-minute delay already, 115th to the Merge. There's road work on outbound I-57 and eastbound 167th, ramp closures. That's traffic. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast. From the 1-hour heating and air conditioning weather center, shower, rain, snow, ice this morning. Chilly start to the day. Clouds break later, high 44. Cloudy with occasional rain again and possibly snow overnight, low 34. It's 35 right now. Next news coming up at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Secure Retirement Radio with host Raj Shah. Sunday mornings at 7 on AM 560, The Answer.
Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy talking about President Trump's visit to Chicago yesterday, and particularly his pointed remarks at the direction of Eddie Johnson and, by extension, Lori Lightfoot and the civilian and police leadership of this city. Trump.
Yeah, and Eddie Johnson spoke yesterday. Lori Lightfoot did not make any public appearance.
She just tweeted. We'll get to Lori's tweet. Here's Trump on how they're not doing their job.
Here's a man that could not bother to show up for a meeting of police chiefs, most respected people in the country, in his hometown, and with the President of the United States. And you know why? It's because he's not doing his job. Last year, 565 people were murdered in Chicago. Since Eddie Johnson has been police chief, more than 1,500 people have been murdered in Chicago, and 13,067 people have been shot. During the first weekend of August 2019, 7 people were murdered and 52 were wounded in 32 shootings in Chicago. And recently they had 78 shootings over a weekend spree and 3 people killed. And Chicago has the toughest gun laws in the United States. That doesn't seem to be working too well, does it? And a lot of you people know exactly what I mean. But under Johnson's leadership, they certainly don't protect people.
And under the leadership of the city generally, they also don't protect people. Trump made a point to talk about Chicago's status as a sanctuary city.
Chicago is, unfortunately, the worst sanctuary city in America. Chicago protects criminals at a level few could even imagine. Last year in Cook County alone, ICE asked local law enforcement people to please, pretty please, we beg you, we'll do anything necessary to stop crime. We want to stop crime. Please detain 1,000 162 people, please. But in each case, the detainer was denied. And Eddie Johnson wants to talk about values. No. People like Johnson put criminals and illegal aliens before the citizens of Chicago. And those are his values. And frankly, those values to me are a disgrace. I will never put the needs of illegal criminals before I put the needs of law-abiding citizens. It's very simple to me.
Interesting, the reaction from police chiefs from around the country in attendance to the line that I will never put the needs of illegal immigrant criminals ahead of the needs of Americans. It's that simple. It is that simple. Not in sanctuary cities, it's not.
No.
Not with the Marxists in charge of big cities, it's not. But it is from a law enforcement perspective, and it is from the president's perspective. And he had a couple of special guests, too, including one on topic. Bill Barr was there. Mark Morgan, Customs and Border Protection, he was there. He was brought up to update the assembled on the wall.
So first of all, I just want to foot stomp that we will be building 450 miles of big, beautiful wall by the end of 2020. With every mile of wall that's being built, I promise you, it's not just the cities and towns on the border. I always say every town, every city, every state is a border town, a border city, and a border state. With every mile of wall that's being built, we are all safer because of it.
So just take note of this, too, the reaction you're getting to some of the policy statements and statements of principle, of values, if you will, from the president, from the chief law enforcement officers from around the country in attendance. So consider that in the context of who is standing on the side of law enforcement and who is focused on government's number one responsibility, physical security of constituents, and who is opposed to that, who routinely denigrates those people who are charged with government's first responsibility and those people who are charged with backing them, selecting them, and disciplining them as necessary. I mean, I just think we talked about this in 2016, and it's remarkable that it's probably an issue that's even more pronounced in 2020. Your vote in 2020 will in part be a statement on whether you stand with law enforcement or you don't. Really will. And I think Trump's speech yesterday and the reaction it generated really underscores that. Lori Lightfoot's tweet.
Oh, yeah. What did...
It's no surprise that Trump brought his insulting, ignorant buffoonery to Chicago. Luckily, in this city, we know the truth, and we will not let anyone, no matter how high the office, denigrate who we are as a people or our status as a welcoming city. Welcoming city is a euphemism for sanctuary city, just as de-energization is a euphemism for blackouts in California.
There was a quick comical part of his speech when he talked about, Jussie Smollett.
And a lot of you people know exactly what I mean. But under Johnson's leadership, they certainly don't protect people. Then you have the case of this wise guy, Jussie Smollett, who beat up himself. And he said MAGA country did it, MAGA country. Okay? He said MAGA, that's a hate crime. That's a hate crime. And it's a scam. It's a real big scam, just like the impeachment of your president is a scam.
It's interesting some of the reaction to the back and forth between the president and Lightfoot and Johnson. Tribune editorializing. Trump's visit was easily written off as a day of political theater. The president came to Chicago to speak to a friendly audience of police chiefs and yank everyone else's chain. Johnson and Lightfoot chose to respond with their own insults. That's a shame because it's legitimate to ask, what if Chicago, a city plagued by violence, lost an opportunity for dialogue on crime prevention with the head of the federal government? Trump reviled the city he evidently loves to hate. Not really, just certain people in charge of the city. Johnson and Lightfoot made their distastes for the president known, it added up to nothing. Meanwhile, Chicago's maddening violence continues. Oh, I don't know. According to the Orwellian figures in charge of Chicago, Chicago's leading everybody came here to see the Chicago turnaround. Chicago's leading the way in the country when it comes to crime prevention. You want to talk about trying to gaslight the public?
I think Johnson could have learned something yesterday.
Well, it's worth noting 10% of the budget for CPS comes from the federal government. It is worth noting that the president said in his speech, and this was not remarked upon because of his pointed remarks for Johnson and by extension Lightfoot, but he did also say this.
And we will work with, upon request, local police to help them, not to hinder them. And we're waiting for a call from Chicago because there's no place that we would rather help than Chicago.
Talking about a new initiative, talking about a new initiative that is being launched at Department of Justice under the stewardship of AG Barr, who was in attendance, as I said, with respect to working with state and local law enforcement where the federal government is welcome to interdict violent crime and gun-related violent crime. So you want to make a call, you want to work with us, or you just want to, tweet nonsense at us like Lightfoot does. Again, the reaction, if any Republicans would have had the stones, I mean, starting with Ronner, of course he never would have, but to be openly critical of President Obama. Oh, you're jeopardizing the resources we could be getting from the federal government. We have to have a relationship with the federal government. You have to reach across party lines, blah, 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 blah. You know what you'd be hearing if there was partisan reversal with respect to the participants. John in Lombard, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, I'm considering Johnson's remarks. What he says, something about roll up your sleeves and come and show us. That's a euphemism for bring somebody else's money with you. And Johnson bragging about the numbers are down since I took office. That's like the post-game interview. You lost the Super Bowl, but you're bragging because you scored more points in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And you mind if I put in a plug for my brother, Marty from Naperville?
Oh, no, go ahead. You just did, I guess.
Oh.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Marty from Naperville. That's my brother.
Is your mom going to be calling in later?
I like the connects. John from Lombard and Marty from Naperville. It's a family affair. Very good.
Well, that's another thing. I'm not from Lombard. I don't know where you guys got that from, but I moved up to Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. I'm out of this state.
Oh.
And I love watching it, too. But I listen to you guys every day. I still get you up there.
John, let me ask you a question.
Shout out to your bro.
Well, speaking about your brother, you were wised up. You went to Lake Geneva. Why is Marty still in Naperville?
Well,
are you the smarter brother? That's what I'm asking.
Next time Marty calls in, ask him.
Right.
I think he's locked in down there. He's got some things going on with work and business, and that's his home for now. But he's got plans.
All right, and we'll check in. We'll check in with the John and Marty brothers again. See how
John
Marty's
and
doing.
Marty. What do we do?
Ziff in Hyde Park.
Hi, Ziff.
Good morning to the special day. I am so disappointed about yesterday.
Wow.
We missed a great opportunity. We could have brought him in Inglewood. We could have brought him in Woodlawn and showed him some of the real hurt. And we're arguing about Eddie Johnson. Eddie Johnson is done. He's history.
Yeah, I know.
We really missed an opportunity. And one other thing, Amy, the only way you and I are going to get Rod Blagojevich out of there is we're going to have to go to the prison gate like Jesse Jackson did.
You know who did it, Ziff? Actually,
right, Ziff,
Ronnie Woo Woo, when he was visiting Denver, was wearing his home uniform and actually went to the prison trying to see Rod Blagojevich in hopes of trying to escort him out.
It's compelling. Actually, President Trump at the Republican lunch that he headlined, he asked the crowd to raise their hands in terms of who supports commuting Rod Blagojevich's sentence.
And some people did.
Yeah.
About 10 people did. And Craig Wall got a one-on-one with Trump.
Should Rod Blagojevich give up hope of a commutation or a pardon?
No, I don't think he should. I think he was sentenced very harshly.
So you're saying I got a chance? Just like we're saying we have a chance that the teacher strike's going to end soon.
Tom in Blue Island.
Hey, good morning, Dan and Amy. Dan, if I have a caning coming for going sideways on you here, I'll accept it gladly.
All right.
I really believe Eddie Johnson. Mount Greenwood guy here. I know a lot of cops. I get a vibe that the real Eddie Johnson was the one that was so angered over the Smollett thing. I think he was told he couldn't go to this or he was going to lose his job by Lightfoot.
Possibly.
And it's like a feeling I get is someone should have maybe tried to get that vibe to Trump, but you know how Trump is, man. You slap him in the face, he hits you over the head with a baseball bat. And,
awesome.
Well, yes. Thanks for the call, Tom. But here's the thing. I mean, if you're going to fall on the sword for Lori Lightfoot, if that's the choice you're going to make for another 6 months on the job, because the report was Eddie Johnson was basically guaranteed the first year of Lori Lightfoot's term. So if you're going to,
if they got along, which they are,
if you're going to fall on that sword for her, then you fall on the sword however sharp it is. And, of course, you're setting yourself up. You publicly make a point of not being there. Don't expect the president not to pick up on that and address it straight away, which he did. So
the local media kept saying, I'm sorry for interrupting. Local media kept saying, oh, Trump, Eddie Johnson got underneath his skin. And look, he spent 10 minutes of his speech. He used Johnson's name 17 times. It's like,
yeah, that's right.
Obsessed about. Well, he deserved every single time his name was mentioned.
The ignorant big government Chicago political press corps. He's using Eddie Johnson because it is a perfect way to express his views about Chicago's political culture, about Chicago's political leadership. Eddie Johnson choosing to be a company man becomes just a part of that. So, yes, Eddie Johnson was the means to personify Chicago's problems. And he made the choice, regardless of what directive he was given or pressure he was under, he made the choice to put himself in that position. Too bad, so sad.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Message and data rates may apply. Individual results vary. Exclusions apply.
Contacts and glasses are such a hassle. I'd love to finally get LASIK, but
I'm going to stop you right there. If you want LASIK, then the LASIK Vision Institute has officially taken away everything standing in your way.
Isn't LASIK expensive?
Not at the LASIK Vision Institute. We're offering dramatically low prices and an absolutely free consultation. See for free if LASIK is right for you by texting TOP to 350350.
But I'm really busy.
A text only takes seconds. The LASIK procedure typically only takes 15 minutes, and most patients can get back to work the following day. The LASIK Vision Institute uses the latest FDA-approved LASIK technology that helps the majority of patients achieve 20/20 vision. Dr. Greenberg has performed 75,000 LASIK surgeries and is one of the most experienced LASIK surgeons in Chicago. And we're offering 20% off our already low-cost services.
What's that text again?
Text TOP to 350350. That's TOP to 350350 to schedule your free consultation today.
MyPillow. It's the best. Really, can't live without it. It conforms to your neck and back, gives you the best sleep ever. And now the CEO and creator of MyPillow, Mike Lindell, is paying it forward, giving us great, deep discounts. Deep, very deep, on all MyPillow products. Go online to MyPillow.com. Click the new radio listener special box. Type in Amy. And voila, you'll have 30% off all products. A body pillow, which is normally $89.99. With promo code Amy, it's only $29.99. Products come with a 60-day money-back guarantee and a 10-year warranty. Nothing to lose. And guess what they're coming out with? Oh, yeah. MyPillow towels. I have a set on the way, and I will let you know how they are. MyPillow.com, promo code Amy, or call 800-489-0201. That's 800-489-0201, and tell them Amy sent you.
Are you tired of paying another mortgage payment for your health insurance? Did you know you're not locked into your current health plan? With non-Obamacare health plans, you may save 25 to 50% or more each month. Contact SBL Insurance Group. They recently helped a healthy family of 5 who were paying $1,800 per month for health insurance using a well-known regional insurance carrier. SBL Insurance Group was able to lower their premium to $750 per month and pick up additional coverage. There are no open enrollment enrollment periods, which means you can start or stop your health plan any time of the year. You can also cancel anytime. 2019 has been a remarkable year with the expansion of product portfolios from many insurance carriers. With the elimination of the individual mandate, you're now free to choose any health insurance plan for you and your family without the added stress of a yearly penalty. Contact SVL Insurance Group today to have a conversation and see what's best for your family. Call 224-465-8276. That's 224-465-8276. Online at svlinsurancegroup.com.
Hey, looking to purchase a new home or refinance your existing home? Then you need to call Team Hochberg. How'd you like to win a free rent payment? That's right, a free rent payment. Then you need to enter Team Hochberg's free rent payment sweepstakes. If you rent in Illinois, Wisconsin, Indiana, Michigan, or Iowa, Team Hochberg wants to pay your rent. I'm not making this up. Team Hochberg wants to pay your rent. Entry is free, and you can't win Team Hochberg's free rent payment sweepstakes if you don't register at 56davidwinrent.com. That's 56davidwinrent.com. Seriously, what are you waiting for? Register to win a free rent payment at 56davidwinrent.com. If you want to work with a lender who will always look out for your financial best interests, like paying your next rent payment, then call Team Hochberg now. 855-56-DAVID or visit 56david.com. Team Hochberg helped me and thousands of AM 560 listeners, but they can't help or pay your rent if you don't register at 56davidwinrent.com. Homeside Financial Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 1124061.
Hi, my name's Christina Stumble, and I own Farm Girl Flowers in San Francisco. With my Spark Cash Card from Capital One, I earn unlimited 2% cash back on all my business purchases. Last year, I redeemed $115,000 in cash back. Yeah, $115,000. And that doubled our digital marketing budget for the summer. Thanks to my Spark Card, we had our best summer yet. Imagine what the Spark Card from Capital One could do for your business. What's in your wallet?
Real Capital One customers pay for real stories. Credit approval required.
ADP isn't just in the payroll business. We're in the people business, helping companies find them, train them, and empower them by clearing the way for them to do their best work. Because when your people thrive, your business thrives with them. HR, talent, time, benefits, and payroll. Informed by data and designed for people, so you and your company can achieve what you're working for. Learn more at design.adp.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer, they negotiated until 2 a.m., the latest on the CPS teacher strike.
And Pelosi succumbs to the pressure to do what should have been done at the outset, have a formal vote for an impeachment inquiry at 6:06.
But now let's head straight into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Elmhurst College is closed again due to another set of threatening graffiti on campus. Showers and snow showers in the area this morning. WIND, Chicago News Time 6.
He wants Congress to know he's not the whistleblower. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, but he was on that call that has led to the impeachment inquiry. Listening to President Trump's conversation with Ukraine's leader, asking for an investigation into the 2016 election and the Bidens. The latest witness will show up this morning.
Lawmakers will hear from Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Vindman, a Ukrainian expert on the National Security Council. He's expected to tell lawmakers he had serious concerns about President Trump's call with Ukraine's leader and that he was worried the conversation could undermine U.S. national security.
That's Fox's Mark Meredith. Now, the president maintains the call was perfect. He did nothing wrong. Trump counselor Kellyanne Conway takes aim at Adam Schiff, the Democrat leading the probe.
He lacks evidence. He sees a TV camera. He runs toward it, and then he lies and he leaks. This man has no credibility. He read a parody of an account of a phone call that never existed on the House floor as the chairman of the Intelligence Committee to open up the sham impeachment inquiry in the first place.
Schiff maintains the call was impeachable evidence and says the White House is trying to obstruct him. Thursday, the House will vote to do what Republicans have demanded, establish rules for the inquiry, procedures for public hearings, giving the president due process rights. Democrats say it'll force him to cooperate. The winds will whip back up in California,
which could lead to the power being cut to more than 1 million people to prevent more wildfires. One is still raging, barely contained near L.A.
1,100 firefighters remain on the 600-acre Getty fire, which broke out early yesterday morning and quickly destroyed 8 homes. Among those evacuated, former Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger tweeted, "Firefighters are the true action heroes."
Fox's Claudia Count in Santa Rosa to the north, where a bigger fire torched 57 homes. In Denton, Texas, a police officer was shot early this morning at a traffic stop. Assistant Chief Bobby Smith said a few hours ago he's in
critical but stable condition and is being operated on right now.
2 suspects were taken into custody after a chase. They also had gunshot wounds. America's listening to Fox News.
36 degrees. We've had mostly cloudy conditions, rain, and some light snow showers in the area. 6:02 on AM 560, The Answer. Good morning, I'm Mike Scott. CTU and the city expected to resume contract talks later today following a marathon bargaining session at Malcolm X College. Bargaining teams from both sides went home around 2 a.m. following 16 hours at the table. The CEO of Boeing says mistakes were made. Dennis Muhlenberg will testify today and tomorrow at 2 congressional hearings on Capitol Hill. President Trump blasting the city of Chicago and the city's top cop during a conference of police chiefs yesterday at McCormick Place.
More than 1,500 people have been murdered in Chicago, and 13,067 people have been shot.
Superintendent Eddie Johnson says, however, he sees statistics that show violent crime going down.
National murder rate fell by 6%, but it was Chicago that set the table for those reductions.
While the president was in town, thousands of anti-Trump protesters gathered outside Trump Tower in the River North neighborhood. Elmhurst College remains closed today as officials investigate threatening graffiti messages found on the West Suburban campus, the most recent graffiti discovered yesterday in a residence hall. David Ross ready to be new manager of the Chicago Cubs.
I'm so excited to start this process of winning. Can't wait to get in that dugout, spring training. Very excited.
The 42-year-old retired as a player after the Cubs won the World Series in 2016. Knicks rally from 18 down to beat the Bulls 105-98. Blackhawks begin a 4-game road trip tonight at Nashville. Steelers rally past the Dolphins on Monday Night Football 27-14. The news service of Indeed.com, used by over 3 million businesses for hiring, where business owners post job openings with screener questions, then sort, review, and communicate with candidates from an online dashboard. Learn more at Indeed.com/hire. 6:04 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Sean Hannity can't make heads or tails of the left.
To be a liberal Democrat, extreme radical socialist today, you have to suspend any fidelity to truth, to honesty, to common sense and reason. Because in their world, up is down, down is up. You know, black is white, white is black, green is purple, purple is green. That's the world they live in.
The Sean Hannity Show. Afternoons at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
I'm Dr. Bob Arnott, and I treat pain with Salonpas. Before you take anything for back or joint pain, I recommend applying topical pain relievers first, like Salonpas lidocaine patch. Salonpas lidocaine contains the maximum strength lidocaine available without a prescription. It blocks pain receptors, providing effective, long-lasting, and non-addictive relief. Also available in roll-on or cream. Look for the silver Salonpas box in the pain relief aisle. Salonpas, it's good medicine.
America has a retirement crisis. 10,000 people turn 65 every day with alarmingly little savings. Company pensions are a thing of the past, and 401k plans are riddled with fees and expenses. We're living longer, so our retirement savings need to last longer. And these record low interest rates are virtually punishing savers, forcing many people to take on far too much risk in the stock market. So what can you do to help ensure you don't become another statistic of this crisis? The answers are in a free educational workshop with Tom Fortino, featured expert on Fox Business, Forbes, and the host of the Alpha Wealth Hour heard on AM 560. Learn about the 5 major threats to your retirement, creating lifetime income, and the Social Security decision, plus tax-free strategies to help make the IRS a smaller partner in your retirement, and how to pass along more wealth to the people you love. Seats are available in multiple locations throughout Chicagoland. Visit alphawealthgroup.com and click on the Classes tab to reserve your free seats now. alphawealthgroup.com.
Protect your pets from leaving your yard at a fraction of the cost of a privacy fence. Now until October 31st, save $315 on Boundary Plus technology, only from Invisible Fence brand. Go to invisiblefence.com today and save. That's invisiblefence.com.
It is 6:07 AM 560 Traffic Center time, and Jim Telemonte.
Expect a challenging commute with the wet and in some places wintry conditions. There is a crash in Burr Ridge, Plainfield Road at County Line. Seeing heavy delays on the inbound Stevenson after a crash near the Ryan. 50 minutes from 355 to Lakeshore Drive and 36 from the Tri-State. Kennedy inbound. It's about a 5-minute delay, Cumberland to Montrose. Outbound, about a 4-minute delay, Foster to Cumberland. On Eisenhower, delay start at Manheim. 33 minutes, 390 to downtown. Ryan, 22 minutes, 95th to the Burns Circle. I-57, 24 minutes, I-80 to the Burns Bishop Fort, already 43 minutes. Tollways are wet, but otherwise okay. Northwest Indiana looks good. And that's traffic. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next in our 1-hour heating and air conditioning weather center. Our meteorologist, Steve Williams.
A shower early this morning. Otherwise, clouds will give way to some sun. Chilly today, high 44. Clouds and occasional rain tonight, low 34. And then rain and chilly tomorrow with a daytime high at 42. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
37 at O'Hare. Next news coming up at 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by the IRS Radio Hour with Stephen Leahy. Every Sunday afternoon at 5 on AM 560, The Answer.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Hey, Jerry Nadler.
Hey, little guy.
Mr.
Little fat guy.
Sardonicus is back in the game. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi announcing yesterday she'll move the inquiry back to the Judiciary Committee sometime after the House votes on Thursday on a resolution to formalize the impeachment inquiry, saying in a letter to Democrats, this resolution establishes the procedure for hearings that are open to the American people, authorizes the disclosure of deposition transcripts, outlines procedures to transfer evidence to the Judiciary Committee as it considers potential articles of impeachment, and sets forth due process rights for the president and his counsel. Is this nothing if not a concession that what Republicans have been saying in not only in contravention of what Democrats have been saying, but also the interference that the D.C. press corps has been running for them, that what they've been doing so far with this Star Chamber proceeding behind closed doors is illegitimate. And the public sees it as illegitimate and, frankly, is not paying that much attention to it. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. Here's the question. Should Republicans vote to authorize the impeachment proceeding?
House Republicans?
Yeah, should House Republicans vote to authorize the proceeding? Quinn Hillier makes the case in the Washington Examiner. House Republicans should support a Democrat motion to open a formal, transparent presidential impeachment investigation and specify rules for the process. Republicans who don't will be abrogating their duty. Quinn Hillier is saying They owe it to the Constitution and to the public to examine all the evidence with open minds. If a Democratic president had asked a foreign government to investigate a U.S. citizen who is to be a chief rival in the absence of any U.S. investigation into that citizen without any alleged violation of U.S. law, then almost every Republican in the country would be demanding an impeachment investigation on those grounds alone. They would be correct to do so, suggesting that that's the fact scenario that we confront with President Trump. Is he right? Republicans who pretend otherwise merit utter contempt. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. Do you agree or disagree with that? I disagree in part because I disagree with the premise that Hillier presents. One is this description of what went down on that phone call between President Trump and Zelensky. Well, it's amazing to me how this sort of Rashomon effect takes place, and you have one version, the Democrats' version of the transcript that is inconsistent with the
actual transcript
with
of
the
the
actual
phone call?
transcript become the story that everybody operates from. We both looked at the transcript. The Democrats saw one thing. I saw what was actually there in black and white on paper. He called on Zelensky to dig up dirt on a political opponent. And that's not what he did. That has the effect of what he did, you could argue. But in the cases where he called on Zelensky to do something that related to the 2016 election, there's an important point that keeps being deleted in the discussion. That in both instances, on the call, he referenced Zelensky to who? The Attorney General. The Attorney General, the head of the Department of Justice, that is conducting a real-time investigation into 2016, and he said, essentially, cooperate with Barr. I'd like you to cooperate with Barr with respect to this inquiry that has been initiated by the Department of Justice. That's not the same thing as saying, as it's sort of being characterized, hey, I want you to act as my Oppo guy in Eastern Europe. Go dig up dirt on Joe Biden. That's the way it's being reported. That is not a fair accounting of what was said on that call.
And I can't believe they've tried everything, and this is what they're going to try and impeach him on. This?
Well, and this is the other point. This is the point Andy McCarthy makes. This is the point I've made because we're two great legal thinkers.
Oh, yes.
So we're thinking
and he'll be on
alike.
the show later on. So
yeah.
You two great minds can get together.
At the top of 7 o'clock, you want to stay tuned for Andy McCarthy. But this, the whole, it wasn't a quid pro quo ad nauseum is beside the point. There is nothing illegal or impeachable contained in that transcript, so occurred on that call. I don't care if there were some people listening on the call that felt like this is unusual. They felt uncomfortable about it. They ran and talked to a lawyer. They raised the issue of is it really appropriate to bring up Joe Biden's name, Hunter Biden's name, on a call with Zelensky? Fine, you can be uncomfortable with it. You can think it's inappropriate. That is so much different than saying it's impeachable. And it's remarkable that I'm uncomfortable with something that rises to the level of impeachment. Uncomfortable is not a synonym for impeachable. Wouldn't have been my choice. That's not a phrase that's synonymous with impeachment. It's ridiculous. So I don't know why Republicans have decided to focus on whether or not it was a quid pro quo. It doesn't matter. Does not matter. Rivlin and Foley, two constitutional lawyers in D.C. who routinely opine together at the Journal, make this point in a roundabout way, talking about how unconstitutional this impeachment process has been. Now, this was before the Pelosi announcement yesterday, but the headline of their piece, this impeachment subverts the Constitution. On the substance, though, there's the process and then there's substance. There is no evidence, they write, no evidence on the public record that Mr. Trump has committed an impeachable offense. The Constitution permits impeachment only for treason, bribery, or other high crimes and misdemeanors. The founders considered allowing impeachment on the broader grounds of maladministration, neglect of duty, and malpractice, but they rejected these reasons for fear of giving too much power to Congress. The phrase high crimes and misdemeanors includes abuses of power that do not constitute violations of criminal statutes, but the scope is limited. Abuse of power encompasses two distinct types of behavior. First, the president can abuse his power by purporting to exercise authority not given to him by the Constitution or delegated to him by Congress, say, for example, imposing a new tax without congressional approval. Second, the president can abuse power by failing to carry out a constitutional duty, such as systematically refusing to enforce laws he disfavors. He cannot legitimately be impeached for lawfully exercising his constitutional power, which is what he was doing in the case of the call with Zelensky. So there's no substantive basis for this. This is why I disagree with Hillier that Republicans should vote for this in the interests of serving transparency and being open-minded.
Oh, it's a witch hunt.
The interests of serving,
Stand your ground.
yeah, serving constitutional standards is why they shouldn't vote for it. Right. The interest of not participating in another show trial and diverting attention away from the people's business is why they shouldn't vote for it. In addition to just sort of the straight politics of rewarding these amateur conspiracy theorists on the other side. No, I don't think so. Lucy in Lowell, Indiana, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, good morning. Thank you for taking my call. 2 quick points. First of all, if they are going to do this, they need to, first of all, make sure that all the proceedings, that the Republicans ensure that all the proceedings are done in a legal constitutional way. And then my second thought is this: with all these closed-door proceedings that have been going on, are they actually like making sure, the Democrats making sure that their stories are straight? You know, when you come to court, everybody has to agree that you know, if the stories don't jive, you can't convict somebody. And I just wonder if with all these closed door things, if they aren't like creating a play.
Yeah, well, thanks for the call, Lucy. Who knows what noted playwright Adam Schiff has in store, and his friends, for that matter. Did you see this? John Kelly was at a conference recently, Sea Island Conference. He sat down to do an interview.
What's he suggesting?
The former Chief of Staff General John Kelly, said that he told President Trump, if you replace me with a yes man as your Chief of Staff, you're going to be impeached. Bill Kristol tweeting in response to that.
He's a never Trumper.
Yes.
Well, just to remind people.
Oh, yes. Bill Kristol, if John Kelly spoke privately with the 10 Republican senators he knows best, and Jim Mattis spoke with the 10 senators he's closest to, and if each told the senators how much he fears for the country with Trump untrammeled and unhinged at the helm, Trump would be gone. Isn't that interesting? James Toronto over at the Wall Street Journal picked up on that statement. I believe this is the first time I've heard a supporter of impeachment openly describe it as a means of effecting a military coup. Yeah, General John Kelly, General Jim Mattis, going to senators to lobby for impeachment is what and removal from office. I mean, he's talking about the Senate side. Lobby for conviction and removal from office. Remarkable when the criticism of Trump is protocol and standards and concern for violation of constitutional norms, much less, or for the Beltway crowd, more importantly, political norms, stylistic norms. Incredible this lack of standards they have with respect to this, with respect to their essentially affecting their animus against President Trump. General John Kelly, General Jim Mattis go lobby Republican senators for removal. These are people that are supposedly concerned about, I don't know, the previous administration weaponizing the intelligence community for political ends. Rich Lowry, our friend from National Review, writing over at the New York Post. It's a total fantasy to think Republicans will abandon Trump now. This is a narrative that is being pursued and pumped up to the best of the D.C. press corps' ability. It's a trope of pro-impeachment commentary that should be simple for Republican senators to swap out, that it should be simple for Republican senators to swap out President Trump, who puts them in awkward positions every day, for VP Mike Pence, an upstanding Reagan conservative. The only flaw from this scenario is that it's entirely removed from reality. If Senate Republicans voted to remove Trump on anything like the current facts, even the worst interpretation of them, it would leave the GOP a smoldering ruin, writes National Review editor Rich Lowry, who, of course, lords over more than one never-Trumper over at National Review. Smoldering ruin. It wouldn't matter who the Democrats nominated for 2020. They could run Bernie Sanders on a ticket with Elizabeth Warren and promise to make AOC Secretary of the Treasury and Ilhan Omar Secretary of Defense, and they'd still win.
So
that what you want?
They're having this vote on Thursday, which
pro forma vote.
Pro forma vote.
The only question.
Well, what
is,
about the Democrats in Trump districts, where Trump won? I can't wait to have them go on the record and.
I'm sorry.
Commit yourself.
I'm sorry.
And you might lose your political career.
I'm sorry. Katie Hill will be unable to attend.
Oh yeah, we'll get to her tearful goodbye later.
Scott in Hanover Park, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning, kids. Yeah, it's been quiet from the military side until lately. Why? I actually think the real swamp is in danger, and part of the swamp that's not really talked about a whole lot is missing military funds. And these guys didn't get to be generals without knowing how to work a system. So it wouldn't surprise me that certain parts of the military hierarchy are actually in the risk of losing a little bit of the side cash, kind of like what is happening to Hunter and Joe, because somebody is doing their job and doing the right thing for we the people. The military's had free reign for how many presidents?
Thanks for the call, Scott. Tom in Deer Park.
Hey, good morning. I think your original premise to make the phone call was that Republicans in the House should vote. Was that?
That was the question. The question, Quinn Hill, you're saying that they would be detestable if they did not vote for an inquiry. There's enough there that they should set the rules of the game along with Democrats, do a transparent process, and explore the allegations wherever they may lead.
Okay, because you cover, like you usually do, you covered a lot in between since then and putting me on the air. I guess I would just say that it's hyper partisan and political, so the Republicans in the House are not going to do that. But what I wanted to say was I just want to see it play out. And I'll give you, for instance, that this White House national security official who's a decorated Iraq war veteran, he's going to be testifying today. And it takes a lot. I don't know what he's going to say, but he was in on the phone call. And whatever he's going to say, I think it takes a lot of guts to do it. And then it's my understanding last night that they were talking about him on the Fox News, and they had a law professor from Berkeley and Laura Ingraham basically allude to the fact that he's a traitor. So I just wish it would play out and let the public decide without our media bigwigs, making accusations of these people, whether you agree with them or not. I think they're pretty brave to come out and do it. And you cover a lot of ground on the show, so I really appreciate you taking my call, Dan. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
When John Mariotti started Woodland Windows and Doors in 1969, he knew that relationships were important. He knew that he needed to look out for his customers' best interests. Today, Woodland is run by the second and third generation of Mariottis, who continue to build great relationships and to service their customers. When it's time to replace your windows and doors, trust your Marvin retailer, Woodland Windows and Doors, to guide you through the process. They have a huge selection of Marvin replacement windows and doors, specialists who know their stuff, and professional installation. Homeowners and builders turn to Woodland Windows and Doors for the individual attention they get on each project. Every job is unique. Every job is done right. That's why for 50 years, they've trusted Woodland Windows and Doors with their projects. Woodland Windows and Doors, your Marvin authorized installing retailer, provides the perfect solution and professional installation. They're online at woodlandwindows.com or stop by the Woodland Windows and Doors showroom at the corner of Lake and Gary in Roselle.
Paid non-attorney spokesperson. Piers Nachawati with principal office in Dallas, Texas is responsible for the content of this ad. This is an urgent message for anyone exposed to the herbicide Roundup and diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. The World Health Organization has designated Roundup weed killer as a probable human carcinogen. If you've come in contact with Roundup and have been diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, you may be entitled to compensation. A free consultation is now available to discuss your options and help you understand your legal rights and actions. Call 800-546-1616. Roundup is the most widely used herbicide in the United States, and a California jury recently awarded $289 million to a landscaper who claimed Roundup gave him cancer. But time is limited to file a claim. If you worked with Roundup weed killer and have been diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, call the Roundup Legal Helpline now. You could be entitled to significant compensation. Call 800-546-1616. That's 800-546-1616. 800-546-1616.
Take a moment and picture your daughter. Society puts this unbelievable pressure on her to achieve, to win, to project perfection, and it affects her. I've told you about Northridge Prep for boys. Now let me tell you about their sister school, Willows Academy. Girls thrive at Willows because the pressure just isn't there. There's no boys to create a social pecking order. It's a culture where what matters is how good a friend you are, not Instagram. Their all-female faculty create a warm environment where girls can be their best, not perfect. Not surprisingly, in this environment, girls actually do achieve. The Willows goal is to produce leaders, and it succeeds. Willows girls attend the top universities like MIT, Notre Dame. Willows has a strong liberal arts curriculum, small class sizes, personalized attention, and one-on-one mentoring, and no strikes. There's an independent Catholic school. They are an independent Catholic school for girls in grades 6 through 12 with your strong values. Learn more at their open house this coming Sunday, November 3rd. Register online at willowsacademy.org to check them out. Again, November 3rd, this Sunday, is their open house. willowsacademy.org is where you sign up.
Want your home's furnace to stay safe and reliable? And want to prevent any potential problems before they happen? At your local 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning, we recommend an annual furnace inspection and tune-up. Right now, get big savings on a furnace tune-up. Call 855-1-HOUR. Because not taking care of your furnace, that's just cold.
Your comfort is just a call away. Call 1 Hour.
Terms and conditions may apply. Call for details. Independently owned and operated. Licensed in the respective state or county.
Thanksgiving is right around the corner, actually. Halloween is this week, this Thursday, and it's time to get in shape and start doing something for yourself for the holidays because they're right around the corner. Take Dr. Howard's Health Challenge. Dr. Howard is the founder and creator of Balance of Nature. It's 6 capsules of Balance of Nature. You're getting 10 servings of 31 fruits and veggies. You hear stories here all the time about how people's lives have changed by taking a balance of nature. Well, the next story could be yours. It helps with weight loss. It helps with energy levels and building up that immune system. And if you have seasonal allergies right now, then you want to try some Balance of Nature. We all need more fruits and veggies in our lives, don't we? And all the money you spend on fruits and vegetables, they just sit there in the refrigerator and rot. So don't do that. Buy Balance of Nature instead. Call 800-246-8751. That's 800-246-8751. Use discount code Chicago or go to balanceofnature.com. Discount code Chicago.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
The first ladies of punditry, Diamond and Silk, join us at 6:36.
And later, when will this perpetual nightmare end? But first, let's get into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
Cloudy, 36 degrees. It's not too early for winter-like weather, apparently. The reports of snow are not greatly exaggerated, officially, according to the National Weather Service. 0.6 of an inch on the ground this morning in Dixon. Chicago Teachers Union and the city are expected to resume contract talks today following a marathon bargaining session yesterday. Teams from both sides went home early this morning from Malcolm X College following 16 hours at the table. A White House National Security Council expert expected to tell lawmakers today about his concerns over the president's July phone conversation with Ukraine's president. Army Lieutenant Colonel Andrew Vidman is the NSC's top Ukraine expert. He'll testify in the House impeachment inquiry led by Democrats today. The massive Kincaid wildfire has burned through some 74,000 acres in Northern California wine country. The governor of that state says things could get worse before they get better.
Kincaid remains the most vexing and challenging, particularly with the winds that are going to start coming back in.
Meanwhile, more families are being ordered to evacuate. A wildfire that broke out Monday near the Brentwood neighborhood of L.A. is forcing thousands to evacuate this morning. The man accused of killing 5 newspaper workers and writers in Annapolis, Maryland, is now pleading guilty in that case. It was a surprise move for Jared Ramos, who is now asking for a jury trial on his mental competence. A suspect is in custody connected with a deadly party shooting in North Texas. Hunt County sheriffs there say Brandon Gonzalez was captured at work yesterday at an auto dealership. We've been following this story for some time, and a follow-up is now ready as an Indiana man accused of dropping his granddaughter from a cruise ship faces negligent homicide charges. It happened in Puerto Rico in July. Charges against Salvatore Anello were announced yesterday. Anello reportedly dropped 2-year-old Chloe Wigan from an open window as the cruise ship sailed off Puerto Rico. President Trump was in town yesterday blasting the city and the city's top cop during a conference of police chiefs yesterday at McCormick Place.
People like Johnson put criminals and illegal aliens before the citizens of Chicago, and those are his values, and frankly, those values to me are a disgrace.
Chicago teachers are still on strike. Classes canceled at CPS for a 9th day. Elmhurst College remains closed today as officials investigate threatening graffiti messages found in the West Suburban campus, this time in a residence hall. And a medical emergency responsible for a plane landing at Tampa International Airport. That American Airlines flight took off from Miami was headed to Chicago last night before it went to the ground in Tampa International Airport. Once on the ground, 2 on board were taken off to the hospital. The airline says one of those passengers did suffer a seizure. David Ross met the media yesterday as manager of the Cubs. Knicks rally from 18 down to beat the Bulls 105-98. The news, a service of Credit Karma. Get your truly free credit scores and free credit monitoring from Credit Karma today. Download the Credit Karma app now. Credit Karma, here's to progress. 6:33 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
The mainstream media wants to divide Americans into neat little groups, and they want you to believe that everyone in each of those groups thinks alike. John Anthony and Charles Love are here to blow up that lie. Join them for Black and Right this Saturday at 1 p.m. when they expose the lies of the media and the hypocrisy of the left and have fun doing it. It's Black and Right this Saturday at 1 p.m. right here on AM 560. The Answer.
You love listening to AM 560 The Answer. How would you like to work for us? If you have experience in sales, we'd love to talk to you. You already understand our mission and what we do, so now maybe you'd like to join our team. If you have sales experience, and specifically if you understand digital marketing, we might have a job for you. If you love us, come join us. It could be a life-changing opportunity for you. For more information, just go to the Careers tab at salemmedia.com.
Message and data rates may apply.
Help! Seriously, I am too young for hair loss.
My hairline keeps creeping back. Receding?
I got this bald spot.
It's thinning everywhere.
I'm gonna have to give up and shave it.
Dude, put down the razor, because Bosley, America's #1 hair restoration expert, is about to give you your real hair back. permanently. Don't ignore the signs of hair loss. Bosley is giving away an absolutely free information kit that reveals all the signs and a free gift card to anyone who texts SECRET to 85850. Bosley will show you for free how great your hair could look. Using the latest technology, Bosley's solution to hair loss is permanent and protected by the Bosley Guarantee. Plus, since Bosley has new non-surgical options, you owe it to yourself to text now for an absolutely free information kit and a gift card for $250 off, no matter what level of hair loss you have. Text SECRET to 85850. That's SECRET to 85850.
Blue Emu supports healthy muscles and joints. Blue Emu works fast and you won't stink.
It is 6:36. An update on the roads this morning in the AM 560 Traffic Center with Jim Telemonte.
Northbound Tri-State traffic is soggy and slow, 95th to 47th this morning, and then from the Reagan Tollway much of the way to Lawrence. About 8 inches tight. Cicero to the junction, it's a 2-minute delay. About Kennedy, 34 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, 14 from Montrose, 11 on the Express. Outbound 30 downtown to O'Hare. About Eisenhower, 40 minutes, 390 to downtown. Outbound 33. Inbound Stevenson, delay started 126. And it's about 52 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Ryan, 22 minutes, 95th to downtown. I-57, 24 minutes, I-83, Bishop Ford, 43 minutes. Delay started around 130th. That's traffic. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning Weather Center. The showers are moving out of the area after some early morning rain and snow and will stay chilly throughout the day. Clouds will break in the afternoon with a high of 44. Cloudy, occasional rain overnight, maybe some snow again. Low 34. 38 degrees officially at O'Hare. Next News 7. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by The Mortgage Update with Dan Frio. Every Saturday morning at 7 on AM 560, The Answer.
Don't miss Sean Hannity, Michelle Malkin, and Laura Logan at Freedom Summit 2019. Get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Over the last few weeks, there's been a lot of chatter that Democrat socialists are looking for some savior to come on stage.
Just save
some white knight. They're waiting for Godot. Pick the metaphor of your choice.
Oh, and then there's talk of Michelle Obama, and then maybe Hillary, possibly. She could swoop in.
Are they really dissatisfied with their field? Their field of POTUS candidates, Democrat socialists? Or is this just a media that's very concerned about the field and its potential electability, the electability of any one of them against Trump? Maybe it's the latter, because 538 wrote this up. Democrat voters actually extremely happy with the field as is.
Who would be happy with that?
Pew Research Center, 65% of Democrats rate their field as excellent or good. That's essentially tied with 2008 for the highest enthusiasm Pew has ever found among Democrat socialists. They add the numbers, that was in July. The numbers have actually only improved since then. A Huffington Post YouGov poll conducted last week found 83% of Democrats are satisfied with their choices. So what real opportunity does a white knight, other than somebody who could come over the top like Michelle Obama, who's not going to do it?
No.
What real market opportunity exists? Not much of one. Not going to happen. This field is their field. This is, the Norman Dale moment. My team's on the floor. This is their team. And if Jimmy Chitwood is not available, then they're playing without Jimmy Chitwood. So good luck with that. But that's what's happening here. They are happy with this field. So if you look at Biden or Warren or Bolshevik Bernie or Pete and say, well, I'm not worried about any of those candidates, well, that has the Democrats real worried, because that's the field.
That's it? Game over?
Andrew Sullivan writing in the New York Magazine over the weekend, is there a Democrat who can win? Trying to answer that question. Warren is surging, but she is, I fear, yes, I'll say it, unelectable. I may be wrong, but by pledging to rip everyone off their current private health insurance plan, it certainly seems like she's thrown away the core advantage of her side, health security. By floating the notion in the CNN forum that her future Secretary of Education would have to be approved by a transgender 9-year-old boy, she's placing herself firmly inside a cultural revolution most Americans are deeply uncomfortable with.
I mean, she has the energy and stuff, but if America didn't wrap themselves around Hillary Clinton, they're certainly not going to do that with Elizabeth Warren.
Well, there's also a stylistic thing that's not talked about enough as much as we talk about Trump style. This is Andrew Sullivan writing, man of the left. Even though he's a reasonable man of the left. The Trump game plan against her writes itself. She, Warren, is a supercilious, smug, know-it-all Massachusetts liberal who reveals contempt for the deplorables the way Clinton did last time.
Yeah.
And she has the kicker of, the woman of color fraud. I just got to read this too. Cory Booker. His riff on Cory Booker is fun. Booker lacks a connection with anyone and still seems to be campaigning for a Rhodes Scholarship. On paper, he's perfect. In reality, he comes off as an earnest cyborg from outer space.
We talk about smug. He's the most smug of them all. And this alleged relationship with Rosanna Darius or whatever her name is.
Rosario Dawson.
Rosario Dawson.
Rosanna Dana. No, I think you're wrong era.
I think that's just a beard too.
Reparation H. Andrew Sullivan of Reparation H. has revealed herself as a feckless, authoritarian, lying opportunist who treats the Constitution as cavalierly as Trump without his excuse of total ignorance. Told you he's not a Trump fan, but focus on the Reparation H fund. Klobuchar is a ball of nerves and insecurity who seems to shrink upon exposure. This is great stuff. This is PG O'Rourke quality. Buttigieg is easily the best debater, most appealing to independents and a few wavering Republicans, but the big question still hangs over his candidacy. Will more culturally conservative minority voters, not to mention white working class ones, show up for a gay man in the numbers Democrats need? The cause for concern is real.
And then there's Andrew Yang.
What about Andrew Yang?
He's singing a song.
Andrew Yang wants to ban car ownership.
Right, but he's singing a song. Don't forget about me, baby.
Yeah, this is one of those. Okay, enough Andrew Yang. This is one of those terribly staged, pretend not staged moments.
Oh.
This
when
is
they did the body surfing too.
This is an empty campaign hall or an empty hall where he's having a campaign event, and he takes the mic. And it just does an impromptu Simple Minds rendition because he's just so hip and cool and relaxed and fun. This field. Oh boy, 83% of Democrats excited about this field.
That's a lie.
I mean, it's a good news.
There's no way they could be excited about it.
It's a good news, bad news. They're excited about a field of socialist goofballs. But it also says they'll be excited about whoever the nominee is, and so the base will ostensibly turn out, although I think the enthusiasm would dampen if somehow Joe Biden made his way to the nomination. But for more on this topic, we're pleased to be joined by our friends, the First Ladies of Punditry. They are Diamond and Silk, hosts of The Viewer's View, contributors to Fox Nation, stars of the documentary Dummycrats. Ladies, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having us.
So, handicap the other side for us. Handicap the Democrat-Socialist field. Because my sense is, there's so much concern about Warren, and the left is so lobotomized by identity politics that couldn't a Mayor Pete, his thin resume notwithstanding, couldn't a Mayor Pete be in 2020 what Obama was in 2008? It's time to elect a black president in 2008. It's time to elect a gay president in 2020, and that's good enough for the nomination.
No. First of all, when we look at you talking about Pete Buttigieg, is that who you're talking about? Yes.
Yeah.
The mayor of South Bend.
Yeah.
What he needs to do is go back and run his city in South Bend because it is the worst city in Indiana. He don't need to run the United States of America. But I see what you're talking about because I have a feeling that a lot of donors is going to try to pump money into his campaign and prop him up as if he can be the president, but he's going to be beat badly. I'm tired of people running off of race or sexuality. I want somebody in office that's going to do the job, and we already have that, and that's with President Donald J. Trump. He's getting the job done, so we don't need a boot edge or Elizabeth Warren or a crooked Joe Biden. We don't need none of them. We already have a president that's getting the job done, and his name is President Donald J. Trump.
Now, what do you think?
And by the way, we as the American people, we're not voting for a person based on their color or based on their sexuality. So we don't care if he's the first gay president or the first black president. It's not about your color or your race. It's about, like Diamond said, who can do the job.
Well, I know. Well, yeah, I know this. I know that's our perspective, but that's not the Democrat Socialist perspective. And so the question was about the nomination, because their perspective is the opposite of what you just said, right? It's all about your identity and your intersectional score. It has nothing to do with the substance of your character. That's the left's perspective.
But that's the reason. That's the reason why they want to bring in a crook now. That's the reason why they want to bring in crooked Hillary to try to fill the void. Because you looking at all of the different candidates, it's not about what they think it's about for the American people. It's about who can best do the job.
Well, who would you ladies like to see President Trump up against?
He can run up against all of them. He's still going to beat them.
Donald Duck. It don't matter. It don't matter.
He's still going to win. Listen, when we look at these candidates, we know they are career politicians. They all talk, no action. They go missing in action because they don't want to take action. We know this. Americans ain't voting for this. Americans ain't voting for no socialism. Americans ain't voting for someone to take their wealth away, take their American dream away. Think about that for a minute. If these people think that we're going to give them our vote, they got another thing coming. America ain't going to do that.
Well,
we love prosperity. We love peace. We don't like all of this foolery that's going on when it comes to these left-leaning Democrats.
Yeah, but so the ground may be crumbling underneath us a bit with certain age cohorts, and I want to get your reaction to this because it speaks to the quality of job we're doing in educating younger generations about freedom and capitalism and the complementary nature of the two. According to a survey done by Victims of Communism and YouGov, 30% of voters aged 23 to 38 had a favorable view of communism. 70% they say they'd be happy to vote for socialism. We got a problem with millennials.
That's because they're unlearned, and that's because they're being indoctrinated in schools and in colleges. Right. And listen, and just anybody under the sound of my voice. The Bible said, "Train up a child in the way you want them to go." It didn't tell the school to do it or other people to do it. You have to explain to people exactly what socialism is. Socialism is just another form of slavery. You have to, and then you have to tell, if you walk up to somebody, a young person that wants socialism, tell them, take off some of your shoes, take off one of your shoes and give that to me. Give that to somebody that ain't done nothing. Give me all of your money, and I'm only going to give you back 1% of your money. You can live on that because we got to share the wealth. Socialism is just another form of slavery, and you have to explain it to these young people because the left is trying to glorify it and make it look like it's good and make it look like we don't need capitalism because we need to be worried about everybody else. Well, let me tell you something. The poor is always going to be with you. But we're in the United States of America where we have freedom to obtain the American dream. And I don't want nobody taking the American dream away from us and have us living in the American nightmare. And when you pushing socialism, we're going to be living in a nightmare. Look at Venezuela. They took their guns, they're throwing rocks. They took their food, they're eating trash. It's sad.
And
that's what socialism looks like.
Take a look at the different countries that have communism and socialism in it. Name me one successful country. Just name me one. You can't. And they can't either. And that's what they have to tell the children.
All right, ladies, on Thursday, the House is going to formalize the impeachment inquiry into President Trump. And Senate Republicans are praising the resolution, saying they hope it will open up the process and provide fairness to Trump. Any worries with you two?
There is no worries. You know, you have to understand that in everything, we're dealing with some that's in the We call them the deep state snakes is what they are.
Okay.
They are what we call the rats that's clogging the pipes. So they're going to vote on this inquiry, but I want to know, why are you impeaching him? Because he dare go to run for president and he's doing his job. You're going to impeach him because what? We have low unemployment numbers. Like, why are you impeaching him? They want to impeach him because they can't defeat and they can't beat him. That's why they want to start this impeachment. And shame on any Republican that's falling for this foolery. Shame on them. You know, that's one thing about Republicans. They need to learn how to stick together and stop always going cold and folding because somebody got you under a little pressure. This ain't no pressure. They need to stand up to these lying Democrats. That's what they need to do. Read the transcript. The president has every right to call out to corruption, to have corruption investigated.
That's right.
Every right.
I wanted to get your reaction as well. President Trump's visit to Chicago yesterday, our fair city, where he took out after the police chief who declined to show up because he was concerned about Chicago values, and talked about violence in Chicago and what he's doing in conjunction with local police that want to work with the federal government to fight violent crime at the local level.
Well, first of all, didn't he do an amazing job?
Yeah, he
and
did.
the one thing I love about President Trump is that he is calling out these people. If you're going to be holding these positions, shame on the superintendent for wanting citizens to respect him, but he don't even respect the president enough to show up. You listen, if you can't make no change if you don't come to the table.
That's right.
You don't want to come to the table because you're listening to a narrative that's a lie. Stop listening to lies. Judge a person by the content of their character, not what somebody done told you about them. You know, so shame on the superintendent. And it's time for people like that to either man up or stand up or get lost, because we want change in this country. Chicago should have already been changed. The violence that's going on. You have a black superintendent. You have a black mayor. They're so concerned about sanctuary cities. They're not even concerned about the citizens of Chicago, and that is sad.
That's
Everybody should look at that. And these are the people. Why do you keep voting people like this in? These type of people need to be voted out.
I don't
what
know.
needs to happen.
I can't help you with the ladies. I don't know. We're as befuddled as you are. Diamond and Silk, the first ladies of punditry, hosts of The Viewer's View, contributors to Fox Nation, stars of the documentary Dummycrats. Ladies, thanks as always for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
And they joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
The Lou Dobbs Report is brought to you by Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Visit signaturebank.bank for your commercial banking needs.
I'm Keith Peters in for Lou Dobbs. The European Union punts on Brexit again. Fitbit shares surge after a report Google may buy the company, and the Fed opens a 2-day meeting in Washington. Those stories next.
G'day, I'm Scott from Plug-in Pest Free. If you have a rodent or pest problem at your home or business, don't spray harmful toxic chemicals. Use Plug-in Pest Free, the electromagnetic pest control device that uses your wiring to get rid of pests fast. Just plug it in. One customer had a warehouse with a rat problem. He was catching over 20 rats a day. He called pest controllers, but nothing solved the problem. Then I came along. My plug-in pest-free commercial system got rid of the rats, and since then he's seen maybe 3 in the last 12 months. Plug-in pest-free is not a sonic device. It's chemical-free and gets rid of pests safely and effectively for years. It comes with a 60-day money-back guarantee and a 2-year warranty. Now that's fair income. Order today and get 20% off at gopestfree.com, promo code SAVE20. That's gopestfree.com, promo code SAVE20. Don't spray and regret. Plug in and forget with Plug-in Pest Free.
The European Union Monday did what most politicians do best. They punted a tough decision on Brexit down the road for another 90 days. Britain was due to become the first nation to ever leave the 28-nation bloc in just 3 days. The new deadline is now July 31st of next year. The Federal Reserve today opens a 2-day meeting in Washington, D.C., which could culminate with a third cut in interest rates this year. Also, GM reports on the third quarter of the UAW strike. Shares of athletic and heart monitoring devices Fitbit surged as much as 40 points yesterday on word Google's parent company Alphabet has offered to buy the company. Fitbit has struggled with competition from the Apple phone, but recently has focused on partnering with healthcare firms. Please join us for Lou Dobbs tonight at 7 and 10 Eastern on the Fox Business Network. This is the Lou Dobbs Financial Report.
Liberty Mutual Insurance Company presents... And Doug.
You two, my office, now! Limu, Doug, you're being transferred across town.
Oh, because they haven't heard that Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance, so you only pay for what you need.
No, it's because Limu keeps eating the chips on Janine's desk. And her keyboard, and her expense reports, and her stress balls, and her...
Liberty. Only pay for what you need at LibertyMutual.com.
Hi there, Saver. Looking for a Medicare plan to help you save on more than just prescriptions? Medicare Advantage plans may offer prescription drug, medical, and hospital coverage. Walgreens is a preferred network pharmacy with many Medicare Advantage plans, including United Healthcare. So, when you enroll in a plan with Walgreens as your preferred pharmacy, you know you're saving smartly. Walgreens, trusted since 1901. Other plans may be accepted.
Balance of Nature, changing the world one life at a time.
I started taking them about 7.5 years ago. It was right after I lost my husband. My husband passed away. I was grieving so bad I wasn't eating at all. I mean, I just didn't care. And so I heard the advertisements on the radio, and I thought, well, my family's upset about me. I got to get myself straight, and I started taking them. So I always say they kind of saved my life, you know. They gave me back my life. I would say that.
Experience the Balance of Nature difference for yourself. Call or go online now and become a preferred customer, which gives you our best pricing and free shipping. And we will take an additional 35% off of your first order. This will be a limited time offer, so don't wait. Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or go to balanceofnature.com and use discount code CHICAGO.
It's an evening you don't want to miss. The Illinois Family Institute's Faith, Family, and Freedom Banquet with the Reverend Franklin Graham. For tickets, visit IllinoisFamily.org.
The only hope for the United States of America is Almighty God.
A bold challenge for today from Franklin Graham, Friday, November 1st at the Tinley Park Convention Center.
Let's elect men and women to office who will lead this nation back to really being one nation under God.
Franklin Graham and the IFI Faith, Family, and Freedom Banquet.
I want you to know this: God loves you.
For tickets, call 708-781-9328, 708-781-9328, or visit IllinoisFamily.org. IllinoisFamily.org.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, it's been 20 years since Payne Stewart died.
Really?
20 years.
Such a strange way to go, too.
Yeah, a great golfer, Payne Stewart, you recall. There's a really good piece by his daughter, an open letter to her dad in playerstribune.com. Dear Dad, I'll tweet it out. She talks about, it's an open letter to everything that's happened in the last 20 years that she was unable to share with him. She concludes, Chelsea Payne is her name. She's married now. She has her own children. I've often described myself as Daddy's little girl. It's a label I wear proudly, and it's your legacy that I look forward to sharing with William one day, her son. He needs to hear about his granddad. He'll never get to meet you, but he'll keep you alive in his heart, just as the rest of us have been doing for 20 years and will continue to do forever. I love you, Daddy, Chelsea. Really, really cool letter that she wrote that's worth checking out and sharing. Chelsea Stewart O'Brien.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We'll return to Impeachment Theater with our friend, former federal prosecutor Andy McCarthy at 7:07.
And later, the latest on the CPS strike. Is there an end in sight? But first, let's get into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Elmhurst College closed again due to threatening graffiti, this time found in a residence hall. Teacher strike keeps CPS students out of class for a 9th day. And a toddler hit and killed by a vehicle in Lisle. Knicks rally to beat the Bulls last night. Blackhawks take on the Predators this evening. WIND Chicago News Time is 7 o'clock.
He works for the White House. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, but the Trump-Ukraine phone call worried him. And this morning, he'll take those worries to the Capitol. The next witness in the impeachment inquiry, Fox's John Decker, live at the White House.
Army Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Vindman, the top Ukraine expert on the National Security Council, listened in on the July phone call between the president and Ukraine President Zelensky. In his prepared opening statement, Vindman says he believed if Ukraine pursued an investigation into the energy company where Joe Biden's son sat on the board, Ukraine would lose bipartisan support, and the investigation would undermine all U.S. national security. Vindman, who will be the first current White House official to testify, is expected to tell lawmakers that he did not think it was proper to demand that a foreign government investigate a U.S. citizen. Dave?
John, a few minutes ago, the president tweeted, "Why are people that I've never even heard of testifying about the call?" He said, read the transcript. Ukraine said no pressure. On Thursday, Democrats will vote to do what Republicans had demanded, make the inquiry more formal, setting up rules. But GOP Congressman Jim Jordan just told Fox,
even if they tried to change something to give a little bit of due process, we're all still going to vote against this because this is such a sham, and it's been such a sham from the beginning.
There's some hope in Sonoma County, California, battling a 116-square-mile wildfire that's burned down 57 homes.
Firefighters have managed to finally get some line around this stubborn blaze. They now have it 15% contained and hope to boost that containment number even more today because they say fire conditions have shifted in their favor.
Fox's Claudia Count in Santa Rosa. Another fire near L.A. has burned down 8 homes. Windier conditions could lead, though, to the power being cut to more than 1 million people to prevent more fires. If you have kids, you may not be surprised by this. A new survey shows the number of children watching videos online every day has more than doubled, in some cases replacing TV. Common Sense Media says the average 8 to 12-year-old spends nearly 5 hours a day with entertainment on their digital devices, more than 7 hours a day for teens. America's listening to Fox News.
Mostly cloudy skies. Rain showers have mostly moved out of the area. A bit of snow as well, too. 37 at 7:02. It's not too early for winter, apparently, for our friends in Dixon this morning, who received officially about 0.6 of an inch of snow. Chicago Teachers Union and the city are expected back at the bargaining table later this morning following a marathon session overnight into this early morning. Both sides went home after 16 hours of negotiations. CTU General Counsel Robert Block saying the union, they believe, has laid out some sort of path for a deal and is waiting to hear back from the city. An Indiana man accused of dropping his granddaughter from a cruise ship is facing negligent homicide charges. It happened in Puerto Rico in July, and charges against South Bend resident Salvatore Anello were announced yesterday. A 118-year prison sentence has been handed. A man from the suburbs found guilty of sexually assaulting a teenage girl in a home in 2015. Chandra Durkins of Joliet was found guilty on 17 counts of sexual assault, unlawful restraint, and aggravated domestic battery against that 16-year-old girl. Elmhurst College will remain closed today as officials investigate threatening graffiti messages found on the West Suburban campus. More graffiti was discovered yesterday inside of a residence hall. And Illinois House Speaker Michael Madigan says a lawmaker accused of bribery in a federal complaint should resign or be removed. Madigan told reporters he will begin proceedings to oust fellow Chicago Democrat Luis Arroyo if he doesn't give up his seat he's held since 2006. David Ross officially introduced as the new manager of the Cubs yesterday. Last night, the Knicks rallied from 18 down to beat the Bulls in New York, 105-98. The news service of Credit Karma. Get your truly free credit scores and free credit monitoring from Credit Karma today. Download the Credit Karma app now. Credit Karma, here's to progress. 7:04 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher isn't exactly confident in the Democratic candidates.
President Trump tweeted, "You would think there is no way that any of the Democrat candidates that we witnessed last night could possibly become president of the United States." He's right. Did you watch the debate last night? Good Lord. What a clown show. What an absolute crap storm.
The Mike Gallagher Show. Weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job, So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
I'm Dr. Jeff Gooden, and I treat pain with Salonpas. That's because practicing good medicine is my responsibility as a doctor. For back or joint pain, I agree with CDC guidance that recommends using topical pain relievers first, like Salonpas Patch Large. Salonpas is powerful, FDA approved to relieve debilitating moderate pain, yet non-addictive and gentle on the body. Look for the green Salonpas box in the pain relief aisle. Salonpas, it's good medicine.
This is Attorney Stephen Leahy, host of the IRS Radio Hour, heard right here on AM 560 every Sunday evening at 5 o'clock. Let me tell you about Bill. Bill's business slowed down and he fell behind on his taxes. Instead of filing his tax return, he decided to wait until he could pay. Well, 1 year turned to 2, turned to 3. Then the IRS threatened to contact his customers, take his house, his bank account, and his passport. Well, Bill hired me. We filed all of his tax returns and an appeal to slow the IRS down. Then we worked out an installment agreement based on how much he could pay, not on how much he owed. Now Bill can rely on the IRS protection plan. We will file his future tax returns and keep the IRS off his back so Bill can focus on growing his business. If you have questions about the IRS, you can get a copy of my book, Deal with Your IRS Problem Today, to learn the secrets of solving your IRS problem and save your business, your marriage, and your reputation. Call 312-664-6649. or go to freeirsbook.com.
At Panera, get breakfast that's fast, not fast food. Try a new Chipotle chicken scrambled egg and avocado breakfast wrap and pair it with a premium freshly ground, freshly brewed coffee. All ready to go with the push of a button. Panera, food as it should be.
7:07. AM 560 Traffic Center time and Jim Talamonte.
Metro Milwaukee North Line trains are stopped in both directions near Morton Grove due to a collision involving a vehicle and an Amtrak train. Eden's 22 minutes Lake Cook to the junction. Kennedy 42 minutes O'Hare to downtown, a tad quicker the Express. Eisenhower 57 minutes 390 to downtown. It's 42 from Manhunt. Stevenson, an hour and 4 minutes, 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive, 46 minutes from the Tri-State. Ryan, 32 minutes, 95th to downtown. I-57, 31 minutes, I-80 to the Merch Bishop, Ford, 54 minutes. Northbound Tri-State, it's heavy from 115th and Ridgeland to 31st, and from Reagan Tollway to Lawrence. Reagan Tollway delays, Eola to 59 and 83 to Roosevelt. I'm Jim Talamonte. On AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning Weather Center and our meteorologist, Steve Williams.
Could pick up a shower or two early this morning. Otherwise, a chilly day. Clouds will give way to some sun. The high today, 44. Clouds and rain tonight with the low 34. And then chilly with occasional rain tomorrow and the high at 42. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
37 officially at O'Hare. Next news at 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Tasty Catering, a Chicago holiday party tradition. For delicious holiday catering, visit tastycatering.com.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. We have a copy now of the opening statement that will be provided by Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Vindman before the House Intel Committee, as well as House Committee on Foreign Affairs, House Committee on Oversight and Reform today. He was on the call, listening in on the call between Trump and Zelensky. Yeah. He was one of the point men for Ukraine, and what the statement suggests is that he was uncomfortable with President Trump invoking Biden's name specifically. He was concerned that that would jeopardize, being seen as enlisting Ukraine to help with a political rival. That's how it would be interpreted by Democrats, and that would risk bipartisan support for aid to Ukraine. And that was that was a concern of Vindman's. And that's all fine. It's all well and good. That is not a question of removal from office. That's a question of strategy and tactics. I disagree tactically with bringing up Biden because it jeopardizes what we say we want to do, which is get military aid to Ukraine for all sorts of geopolitical reasons. That's not consistent with the DC press corps narrative of President Trump implored Zelensky to dig up dirt on Joe Biden, which continues to be repeated, including in center-right outlets like by Quinn Hillier at the Washington Examiner, who argues that House Republicans should be held in contempt by the electorate, not legally, if they do not support authorizing the House impeachment inquiry on Thursday in the interest of fair play and transparency. For more on this topic, we're pleased to be joined again by our friend Andy McCarthy, former federal prosecutor, chief assistant U.S. attorney in Manhattan, contributing editor at National Review, and author of the book. Have you picked it up yet? If you haven't, why not? Don't you want to understand what's happening and what will happen over the next year? So do so. Ball of Collusion, the plot to rig an election and destroy a presidency is the book. Andy, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good morning.
Good morning. And by the way, I understand from our producer that you had some thoughts on Mitch Trubisky.
Yes. We'd like to break that down first, please.
That's a little bit beyond your kin, but we'll listen.
They're Bruce Wolf's thoughts. I saw that Bruce had tweeted that he's like the worst quarterback ever drafted by the Bears, and we're the team that drafted Cade McNown.
Yes.
So I got a little.
Yes.
Yeah. Look, I'm a Jet fan, so we can't look down our nose at anybody.
Well, I'll tell you, right now we're longing for a Sam Darnold. That's how bad it is. But when you draft Trubisky ahead of Deshaun Watson and Pat Mahomes, it really puts an extra sting in it. You know what I mean?
We drafted Kenny O'Brien ahead of Dan Marino, so you still running behind.
Still remember that, don't you?
All right, now let's get back.
Just a little.
Yes.
Just a little.
All right. So why don't we start with the piece that you wrote earlier in the week, because this is what I've been saying from the outset, and I'm so glad that you are saying the same thing, because that knows I'm thinking about this properly. Republicans making, speaking of tactics, a tactical error by having this debate about whether or not the call constituted a quid pro quo. Why is that a mistake?
Yeah, it's really dumb. All foreign exchange and most negotiations, whether they're between powers or private parties, involve quid pro quo. We think when we hear that term, it has a kind of a sinister connotation, but it really just means this or that. The only reason we think of it as sinister is because the only time we ever hear the Latin phrase anymore, it tends to be in connection with public corruption cases and bribery cases. But all foreign negotiations involve quid pro quo, and foreign policy is very different from domestic law enforcement. In domestic relations, where we're all under the same rule of law in the same political community, if I extort you to do something, that's a felony. In foreign relations, it's what countries do. So, for example, we are now trying to squeeze Iran, just to get away from Ukraine for a second, in order to get them to come to the negotiation table and cut a better deal, right? Are we extorting them? I sure hope so. That's not a crime. It's what happens in international relations. So to get lured into to discussing this in terms of was there a quid pro quo and did it involve extortion? In other words, trying to use what assets you had available and what pressure points you had available to squeeze another country into doing things. It seems to me we want to be able to do that. The question always is, are the things you're trying to squeeze them into doing in the interests of the United States, or are they in the interests of, the president personally and his personal political fortunes? And it's not always easy to distinguish those two things because they do politically tend to meld.
Yeah. Well, impeachment, it could be profoundly powerful and really can divide this country. And you don't have to commit a crime to be impeached, and that's the sad thing. And they're voting Thursday to formalize the impeachment inquiry into President Trump.
Yeah, and I really think they have this backwards. It seems to me that, and this is the biggest problem with this whole thing, Amy. Every other impeachment we've had, and I don't pretend that we've had 1 million impeachments, and this is a big database, but I think you can reasonably say that all other experience with impeachment we have an American tradition where the president is deemed to be fit if the sovereign elects him. We don't have, as I said, we don't have a platonic ideal of fitness. There's very minimal qualifications in the Constitution to run for president. And if the sovereign, meaning the people, elect you, then you're fit, right? And from there, we deem somebody to be unfit to the point that they need to be removed from office if they commit high crimes and misdemeanors, which is misconduct that's so egregious that there's a national consensus that cuts across partisan lines that the president needs to be removed from office. Because if you don't have that kind of misconduct, you're never going to get to 2/3 in the Senate, which is what you need to remove somebody. You're going to have something that the public is so sickened over that they think the guy needs to be removed, and that induces the Senate to do that. So that's the kind of misconduct we're dealing with. And what they did here, this is unprecedented because the left and Trump's other detractors have never accepted his presidency and have never accepted him as being fit. So they have already decided the unfitness issue, and they've spent 3 years searching for something as a hook for misconduct that they could use to basically actuate the conclusion that they've already drawn that he's unfit, which is I think it's wrong.
Well, and here's the other thing too. This high crimes and misdemeanor phrase is generic, but there is some sort of definition or parameters that we can put around the phrase. And Rivlin and Foley do a good job in the Wall Street Journal the other day in their op-ed saying, look, high crimes and misdemeanors, it doesn't need to be a crime, but it does need to be an abrogation of the president's constitutional duty. Either he exceeds his power, and they use the example, he imposes a tax without Congress, or he fails to do his constitutionally mandated duty. And in this case, by those standards, we're not even close. So I'm a little bit befuddled by Quinn Hillier saying Republicans, in the interest of fair play and transparency, should vote to authorize this inquiry and let it play out because the call is serious enough to warrant it. Well, the call doesn't fit into either of those two categories. So I don't see this as substantively serious. And certainly the way this has played out, to your point so far, it hasn't been procedurally serious.
Yeah, I would add one thing to what Rivkin and Foley say, and that is, it's fair enough to say that we don't have to have a crime, a felony, in order to impeach. And Hamilton makes that clear in the Federalist Papers. It's basically a profound betrayal of the trust that's reposed in a public official. But here's the thing: if you impeach over an actual crime, you can say, look, here are the 3 elements or the 4 elements of, some corruption felony, and you either prove them or you haven't. The Congress is not held to a beyond the reasonable doubt standard that applies in court, but you get the point. You say, here's the crime, here are the elements. It's either proved or it's not. If you're going to impeach somebody on the basis of abuse of power, which is not a crime, but it can be egregious enough, obviously, that it can be impeachable. Some of us thought, for example, Obama's weaponizing of the IRS was pretty serious stuff. I think that if you're going to impeach someone over abuse of power, which is just a sheer political impeachment, it doesn't even pretend to be, a legal enforcement of a crime, then I think you have to compare how have we treated this kind of abuse when it has come up, the presidencies, because it's rare that these things are unprecedented, right? And my thing with this is I see a lot of flaws in Trump's call with Ukraine, not least the idea of pressuring the Ukrainians to conduct an investigation of a Ukrainian company for violations of Ukrainian law. I don't think a president should ever encourage a foreign power to conduct an investigation that might hurt an American. We want our government to protect Americans from excesses of foreign governments, not the other way around. But I don't see how what Trump did here holds a candle to 2016, where the Obama administration basically put the intelligence and law enforcement apparatus of the government in the service of Hillary Clinton's campaign, and then failing that, used it to try to suffocate Trump's administration. So I'm perfectly prepared to say that I think, Trump did things he shouldn't have done in this conversation. I don't think they're impeachable, and I think the best evidence that they're not impeachable is we haven't treated this kind of stuff seriously when it's been committed on a much more exponential level.
And there's something else, though, too, going back to the transcript. And when he talks of Hunter and Joe Biden, when he talks about 2016, in both instances in that call, he references the Attorney General, cooperate with the Attorney General. So it's a reference to cooperating with an ongoing American investigation into the 2016 election, and that seems to have been lost in the reporting and commentary.
Yeah, except that there's no connection that we know of between Hunter Biden and the 2016 investigation, right? I mean, but there is a connection. I'm sorry to interrupt, but there is a connection to Ukraine in the 2016 election. So who knows where that goes? Yeah, no, undoubtedly. Well, I think between Ukraine and the 2016 election, and I would also argue between Joe Biden and the 2016 election. And the reason I say that is, if your theory is that the Obama administration leaned on the Ukrainians to investigate Manafort, it would be relevant to show that Joe Biden was so influential over the Ukrainians that he could get a prosecutor fired. That's the kind of evidence that would be admitted in any kind of criminal conspiracy trial. Where I think it's problematic is I don't see what Hunter Biden's connection is to the 2016 election at all. But at the same time, Dan, I would say that a more polished president, and let's admit Trump went about this crudely, right?
Yes.
A more polished president might have said to Zelensky, look, we're giving you a lot of money. We want you to root out corruption, and we don't care how high it goes, even if it's in our own government.
Yeah, you remember
rather than dropping names.
Andy, you remember you remember when Bill Buckley was asked what job in the Reagan administration he would like, and his answer was ventriloquist. That's the job I wish you had, or even not to be immodest, but I had in the Trump administration too, ventriloquist for just sort of these calls in those moments. But it is what it is with him, and that's his personality, and that's how he communicates, and it doesn't make it impeachable, even if you don't like it stylistically, and that seems to be completely lost in this back and forth that you see play out on the cable news talk shows and whatnot.
Yeah, well, it sounds like we're ending our conversation where we began, because the job we should have is Monday morning quarterback.
Yeah, there you go. There you
I
go.
don't know. I don't know if I would have been a great ventriloquist, but man, after everything's over, then I can tell you what you should have done.
And you're good at it, though.
Yeah, right.
Andy McCarthy, former chief assistant U.S. attorney in Manhattan. He was prosecutor on the first World Trade Center bombing case, contributing editor at National Review, and the book that you have to pick up on this topic, Ball of Collusion, The Plot to Rig an Election and Destroy a Presidency. Andy, thanks as always for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much. Have a great day.
You too.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy on the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.
Church scandals have left many disillusioned. After being abused by church leaders, some wonder if they can ever trust God or the church again. Hi, I'm Julie Roys, host of The Roys Report, and over the past 2 years, I've reported on scandals in the church and know the devastation they've left. That's why I'm hosting Restore Chicago, a one-day conference restoring faith in God and the church. Restore will address how to survive abuse with your faith intact, why, despite disappointment, we can still believe in the church, and the reasons I believe we're in the midst of an unmistakable move of God to purify His bride. Speakers include Nancy Beach, who exposed abuse by Bill Hybels, and Wade Mullen, a passionate abuse advocate. Also joining me is worship leader Josh Caterer.
Oh, the love of my Redeemer, never failing. Come
Please join me Saturday, November 2nd at Judson University for Restore Chicago. For more information, go to restorechicagoconference.com.
Hey, want a great night's sleep? Then have a MyPillow. And guess what? Right now, the founder and CEO, the creator, the man, Mike Lindell, is paying it forward by giving everybody deep discounts on everything from those Giza cotton sheets that I absolutely love, to the mattress toppers, the MyPillow, the Go Anywhere pillow, and now they have towels. Oh, yes, they do. So here's what you do. Excuse me. Go to MyPillow.com and click on the new radio listener specials box. Type Amy in the promo code, AMY, and you'll see the discounts up here. 30% off everything. $29.99 for a MyPillow. A body pillow, regularly $89.99. Now it's $29.99. All products have a 60-day money-back guarantee and a 10-year warranty, and it's made in America. MyPillow.com.
Message and data rates may apply. Individual results vary. Exclusions apply.
Contacts and glasses are such a hassle. I'd love to finally get LASIK, but
I'm going to stop you right there. If you want LASIK, then the LASIK Vision Institute has officially taken away everything standing in your way.
Isn't LASIK expensive?
Not at the LASIK Vision Institute. We're offering dramatically low prices and an absolutely free consultation. See for free if LASIK is right for you by texting TOP to 350350.
But I'm really busy.
A text only takes seconds. The LASIK procedure typically only takes 15 minutes, and most patients can get back to work the following day. The LASIK Vision Institute uses the latest FDA-approved LASIK technology that helps the majority of patients achieve 20/20 vision. Dr. Greenberg has performed 75,000 LASIK surgeries and is one of the most experienced LASIK surgeons in Chicago. And we're offering 20% off our already low-cost services.
What's that text again?
Text TOP to 350350. That's TOP to 350350 to schedule your free consultation today.
Balance of Nature. Changing the world, one life at a time.
Back in like January, February, I'd like get home, make myself something to eat, blah, blah, blah. My girlfriend works nights. By like 8:30, 8 o'clock, I'd be in bed. I'm sitting there thinking, okay, if this is what the rest of life is like, I'm doomed. Today is day 14 of me taking Balance of Nature. My energy level's through the roof. It took me like 5 years of hearing it on talk radio to actually try it. The difference is night and day.
Experience the Balance of Nature difference for yourself. Call or go online now and become a preferred customer, which gives you our best pricing and free shipping. And we will take an additional 35% off of your first order. This will be a limited time offer, so don't wait. Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or go to balanceofnature.com and use discount code Chicago.
AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy tweet out this handy little graph from our friends at wirepoints.org. The next time you hear a Chicago public school teacher or one of their media handmaidens or one of the ignoramuses, the ignorant champagne socialists running around blathering on union talking points.
Yeah.
You know, this statement, hey,
What?
hey.
What?
Hey, regarding pensions. Hey, with the pensions?
Yeah.
Hey. Before you criticize the pensions they get, $2 million guaranteed. For, max out. Remember, teachers don't get Social Security.
Oh.
They don't get Social Security.
Oh, now we're supposed to. Well, guess what? They're not going to have their pensions because this make-believe money that they think that exists isn't there. The checks are going to bounce, and I don't care. Because if the strike is not settled tomorrow, then PSAT's done. Can't apply for those scholarships. And all the sports, the state championship football games are going to be canceled.
Okay.
And they're fighting over prep time money.
If we could close the loop on Social Security versus pension.
Okay.
Private sector retirements, average Social Security benefit, average Social Security
Probably
benefit.
nothing, peanuts.
$17,200 bucks. Maximum Social Security income for a 62-year-old.
Yeah.
You take it early. For a 62-year-old, $25,900. CPS teacher pensions. Average pension for retired CPS teachers is $55,800. Average pension for recently retired career teachers, retired after January of 2017, max out, $71,000. And that's going up under the proposed deal. It would go up significantly. And remember, they're paying 2% of their salaries in for that guaranteed return. So just a little bit of a handle there. We're trying to break down these arguments, the agitprop that is promulgated by the teachers' unions and others who are either willfully ignorant or willfully blind. The Social Security that you don't pay until you don't get. Raise your hand if you want to trade your Social Security, your pension for Social Security.
Pick me.
No, nobody would trade the pension for Social Security.
No, I want a pension, and I'll give them my Social Security.
No, exactly.
Please,
exactly.
don't pick me. I'll take that.
That is one of the big lies that is told, as if they're sacrificing something. They're sacrificing nothing. They have the best deal going when it comes to pension benefits. And you want to confer those pension benefits, that's fine. Understand the wealth that would need to be extracted, the taxes that would need to be imposed to finance the encumbrances that are imposed on a real-time basis. Think about what your tax burden is now and think about what would be required to make up the $17 billion CPS does not have to pay current bills.
And
that's what we're talking about. That's what we're talking about. It's math. Math.
And I have to get this off of my chest because a lot of teachers aren't walking the picket lines because they have to be home with their kids. Well, what do you think this is doing for our kids? We have to be home with our kids too. But it's the choices that you've made, and it's stupid choices. And you should put pressure on your CTU delegates to end this now because we're done. We're sick of this. And it's so stupid because now all they're fighting over, they're okay with the 5-year 16% increase. They're prep time. They want to be paid for prep time. It's so stupid. They're just dragging their heels. And the one reason why is because the vice president of the CTU is best friends with Tony Preckwinkle, who got trounced by Lori Lightfoot in the last election. That's what this is about.
It's hardly just Stacey Davis Gates. Sharkey is the...
Jesse Sharkey, he's got him by the balls.
Jesse Sharkey is the head of the union, and he had to authorize the support for Tony Preckwinkle. They're doing it together. They're the Bopsy twins. We're not absolving anybody here. By the way, Lori Lightfoot...
Get on the right foot.
Lori
Hear that one more time.
Lori Lightfoot,
Get a new
her opening offer, a blank check,
was sick. Shame on her, too.
There are no good guys in this binary between CPS and the city and CTU.
But if they don't settle by tomorrow, then Lori Lightfoot should man up and yank that contract and come back with half of the money being offered. Because after tomorrow, their health care runs out. And, oh, my God, the teachers are going to, some of them are have to get COBRA. Or go on COBRA. I don't care.
The union will pick it up anyway if they need to stay out. Union will pick it up. That November 1 deadline is a false deadline. But here's the good thing: if it goes on for another few days, we'll get inured to it, like we're inured to everything else, like violence on the streets, and it could go on for a year and nobody will notice or care.
Kids that are out on the streets, someone's going to die. It's only a matter of time. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
The new episodes of The Courtship of Hunter's Father take us to Romania and back to a time when Hunter's father was a United States Senator. We'll talk to Monica Showalter from American Thinker about that at 7:37.
And she's out of a job, but a new mission for former Congresswoman Katie Hill. But first, let's get into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
36 degrees. CTU and the city of Chicago expected to resume contract talks later this morning following a marathon session at the bargaining table overnight. Biggest wildfire in California now has burned more than 74,000 acres. CAL FIRE is reporting the Kincaid fire in Northern California's Sonoma County. It's only 15% contained. A current White House National Security Council official plans to tell lawmakers about his concerns with President Trump's July phone call with Ukraine's president. Army Lieutenant Colonel Andrew Vindman is the NSC's top Ukraine expert. An Indiana man accused of dropping his granddaughter from a cruise ship is facing negligent homicide charges. It happened in Puerto Rico in July, and charges against Salvatore Anello were announced yesterday. Kimberly Weigland says Anello was hysterical after his granddaughter fell out of a window while he was watching.
The thing that he has repeatedly told us is, I believe that there was glass. He will cry over and over.
Anello reportedly dropped that 2-year-old, Chloe Weigand, from an open window as the cruise ship sailed off Puerto Rico. A 118-year prison sentence handed down to a Metro Chicago man found guilty of sexually assaulting a teen girl in a home in 2015. Chandrell Durkins of Joliet was found guilty of 17 counts of sexual assault, unlawful restraint, and aggravated battery against that 16-year-old girl. State's Attorney Jim Glasgow says that the sentence puts a savage predator behind bars who will never be able to brutalize another woman. Chicago-based United Airlines is out with a new plan to help you beat jet lag. The airline has partnered with the app Time Shifter to create a custom sleep plan based on where passengers are traveling to. The app will show when it's time to be asleep or awake to prevent jet lag. United will offer a free trial for everyone, no matter their destination. Knicks over the Bulls last night, 105-98. Blackhawks begin a 4-game road trip tonight at Nashville. The news, a service of Panera Bread. At Panera, get breakfast that's fast, not fast food. Try a new Chipotle chicken scrambled egg and avocado breakfast wrap and pair it with a premium freshly ground, freshly brewed coffee, all ready to go with the push of a button. Panera, food as it should be. 7:36, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Tickets for Freedom Summit 2019 sold out in record time in response to the high demand. We've opened up an overflow room for attendees to watch the event on Saturday, November 2nd at the Westin Chicago Northwest. Overflow tickets are on sale now, but are selling fast. Get yours at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Woodland Windows and Doors, Automated Systems Incorporated, Joe Cotton Ford, HealthInsuranceMentors.com, and by Crown Weedy Roofing.
Policies issued by American General Life Insurance Company, Houston, Texas. Not available in all states. For details, visit AIGdirect.com.
Do you have a family? Would you like to help make sure they'll be taken care of if anything were to happen to you? If you answered yes, you probably need life insurance. Now, do you think life insurance is expensive? If you answered yes to that too, you definitely need to give AIG Direct a call. We could find you a $250,000 policy for just $14 a month, which means you could save hundreds of dollars a year. Call us now for a free, no-obligation quote. 1-800-600-5451. Since 1995, we've helped millions of people find out if they could save up to 70% on their term life insurance. See how affordably we can help you protect your family. Call AIG Direct now for your free quote. 1-800-600-5451. You could save up to 70%. That's 1-800-600-5451. 1-800-600-5451.
Helping our troops to be their best means ensuring they get the right level of physical activity, nutrition, and importantly, sleep. And if you're sharing barracks, then the enemy of sleep is snoring. To snore less, use Mute. Mute is an easy-to-use nasal breathing device designed to increase airflow through the nose by gently opening the airways. Thanks to Mute, you'll get all the air you need through your nose and not your mouth. So you'll snore less, sleep more, and everyone in your barracks or your bedroom will be happier. Whatever your mission in life, if you want to be at your best, win the battle against snoring with Mute!
Available at Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid and other fine stores. To find your local store or for more information, go to mutesnoring.com. Mute. Breathe more, snore less, sleep better.
7:38 AM 560 Traffic Center time with Jim Talamonte.
Kennedy inbound delays start at Cumberland. It's 51 minutes O'Hare to downtown, 27 from Montrose, 21 of the Express. How about 56 minutes to O'Hare? Eden's 22 minutes, Lake Cook Junction, outbound 27. Eisenhower, an hour and 2 minutes, 390 to downtown. 45 minutes from Manheim, outbound 36 minutes to 390. Stevenson, an hour and 4 minutes, 355 to drive. Outbound, it's jammed. Harlem past First Avenue with crash in the right lane. Ryan, 32 minutes, 95th to downtown. Northbound Tri-State delays from 115th and Ridgeland to 31st. And from the Reagan Tollway to Lawrence. Delays on the eastbound Adams Tollway, 25 to 59, and lead to the Tri-State. That's traffic. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning Weather Center. Showers and snow have pretty much moved out of the area this morning, We have clouds this morning, chilly, and the clouds will break for the afternoon with a high of only 44. 38 degrees officially at O'Hare. Next news coming up at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Don't forget that you can watch Chicago's Morning Answer on the Income Store live video stream every morning at 560theanswer.com.
If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. New Yorker over the weekend had a piece on Joe Biden's zombie campaign. And part of the reason it's a zombie campaign and he's just being whittled away is, of course,
nobody goes to his campaign events.
Well, that's
a problem. Millennials aren't into him.
The problem that has bedeviled his campaign over the last 6 weeks, and frankly,
last 3 times,
still does with this impeachment inquiry. It also has a negative impact on Joe Biden, to whatever extent it may have a negative impact on President Trump, is the courtship of Hunter's father. And wherever Joe Biden was in a foreign arena, Hunter Biden's business interests were not far behind.
They're creepy and they're kooky. He'll steal his brother's Pookie. They're all together goofy. The Biden family.
Yeah, we were in Ukraine, we've been in China, and now in the last couple of days, it's been revealed that we have to look at Joe Biden's activity in Romania, where Hunter Biden had a legal interest, business interest, as well as Hunter Biden as a lobbyist for a business association inside the Beltway, and Joe Biden interceding on a particular regulation with respect to the chemical facilities that utilize combustible chemicals. Joe Biden interceding to weigh in on this proposed regulation at the same time Hunter Biden, his law firm, was representing a trade association that was lobbying against the regulation. For more on this topic, we're pleased to be joined by Monica Showalter. She's the deputy editor at American Thinker, AmericanThinker.com. Monica, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
So where do you want to start? I mean, we just spin the globe and point your finger anywhere. How about Romania, since that's a new development in the courtship of Hunter's father?
Yeah, the whole thing is it's starting to be a pattern, and anywhere Joe Biden would go, Hunter would somehow be the backup guy following a little bit after, and some money would exchange hands. That actually had the look of disguised bribery. And not only that, you know that in other, developing country nations, you typically, word gets around and they go, "Oh no, Joe is coming. Get the wallet out because a payment will be required," which makes it worth it to look at some of his other activities. We did see with the Clintons, money changed hands before the Colombia Trade Agreement was able to get passed. And they fought about that for about 5 years. Democrats resisted it, and then suddenly money changed hands with the Clinton Foundation.
But what exactly did Hunter Biden do, or how did he gain anything from a Romanian real estate tycoon?
Well, right, the guy had a bad reputation, but he also had state ties. We don't know what the money exchange was. It's just that it was a business. It was some kind of business association. I doubt he wasted his time on things that didn't involve money. Right now, it's just kind of an emerging story. But we do know that money exchanged hands with Ukraine, and there was some kind of deal, a very large business deal. The Bidens actually argue they got any money from it, but it was certainly promised $1 billion from China. And this is someone who doesn't have any expertise on either venture capital or the energy industry, any of the things that the money is supposed to be about.
Or real estate development.
I don't know if other people can get that kind of money.
Yeah, well, I mean, Hunter Biden reluctantly conceded in that ABC 7 interview. He probably has made money because his lade name's Biden that he wouldn't have made if his last name was Smith. But with respect to Romania, here again we have him mean, he's a lawyer of some sort. I don't know what expertise he has in real estate development in Romania, but he's the lawyer that was brought in to advise this Romanian businessman with a dubious reputation. And this is at the same time, Joe Biden's involvement in Romania was very much public, again, taking the public position of calling on the Romanian government to crack down on corruption, as he was ostensibly doing in Ukraine. So the point is, we don't know if there was anything untoward. We don't know what Hunter did or did not do, the money he did or did not make in Romania, unlike we do know in Ukraine. But the bottom line is we have another instance where Joe Biden knows or should know that Hunter is involved in business dealings in a foreign country in which he is taking a policy lead for the President of the United States. And he's not disclosing that, and that's an inherent conflict of interest.
Exactly. The other thing is, it shows that, these things went on a few years ago. It showed how little attention the press was paying. Because some of these stories are known. You could find many of these stories in Peter Schweitzer's books, the Clinton Cash, but there are others. Another one called Throw Them All Out, describing how Congress people get rich in office. And so these things have been sort of out there, but they certainly didn't attract wall-to-wall coverage or anybody, in very powerful position in the media saying anything. They said nothing. They kept it off the front page.
And speaking of the powerful people in media, Sean Davis had this over at the Federalist as well. This is great. The sort of the media Democrat socialist complex, if you will. CNN brought a former U.S. diplomat in Ukraine to assert Biden did nothing wrong on their cable channel as they prosecute their case against Trump and for Biden and other Democrat socialists. What CNN failed to disclose was that the man in question, John Herbst, this former diplomat, had a significant conflict of interest regarding Burisma, the Ukrainian energy company at the center of this. Herbst runs a Eurasia Center for the Atlantic Council, which is a foreign policy-focused tax-exempt organization that's funded in part by Burisma donating as much as $250,000 to this enterprise that John Herbst works for, that he runs. So then he's being backed by Burisma, and then he comes on CNN to say, basically, Joe Biden did nothing wrong, Hunter Biden did nothing wrong, and there's nothing to see here with Burisma. Isn't that convenient? And here again, we have the ethical lapse of the media consistent with the ethical lapses of our politicians.
Exactly. And there's more. There was the super witness, Bill Taylor, the ambassador. He had involvement with Burisma. Here's another one. Fiona Hill, who was the supposed big-name Russian advisor. One thing I discovered was that Joe Biden wrote the blurb to her book on Putin.
That.
People don't know that.
No.
That there had obviously been some kind of connection that she would get him to write a blurb for her book.
This all sort of speaks to, as we talk about these media types and the intersection between the media types and the political types and sort of this ruling class, to borrow from Codavia. But it just goes back to this idea and the value proposition of Trump that he's the skunk at this garden party that's been going on inside the Beltway for a few generations, that's serving those inside the Beltway very well and those outside it not very well at all.
Precisely. He's the junkyard dog to dig it out, as one very good essayist wrote. He may not be polite. He may have a rough demeanor. He's very much a disruptor. But there's been a cozy power game going on for a long time. Congressmen getting rich in office, which doesn't make sense. And then the other one is this strange specter of Joe Biden going from country to country with his son following in tow, making business deals, which are, even the lawyers who write for Powerline have noted, that's a long time honored disguised form of bribery.
Yeah.
And because nobody does a bribery with a black bag and hands it in an alley anymore, because that's illegal. But who's to say that, say, a son couldn't make a business deal after Joe Biden blows into town? It's still the same thing. It's just been kind of sanitized and laundered, so that it's less easy to arrest somebody for.
Yeah, you wrote a great article about Saturday Night Live, which is true. watching it Saturday, they were, claiming that Trump coddles ISIS on the night that Trump actually blew up al-Baghdadi, the ISIS leader.
Exactly. For once, the clowns were the clowns. The people they were making fun of was not a clown at all. That was astonishing. It was very unexpected. I hadn't been following ISIS or anything like that closely. I had to look up who al-Baghdadi was when it happened, but very much Trump had been engaged in this very serious operation, very comparable to the rub out of Osama bin Laden. And all of that was going on. He's doing the president's job, and they're saying they're repeating this conventional wisdom that Trump will only, he's coddling ISIS just like he coddles Putin, he coddles Turkey, etc. No, he was doing an America First operation that was very beneficial to not just America, but everybody in the region. It was very, very well done. The details since. Wow.
If taking out al-Baghdadi is not enough of a reason to vote to reelect President Trump, here's another one. Jim Comey, former FBI director, was at Politicon over the weekend, and he said that if Trump wins re-election, he's moving to New Zealand. That's not good news for New Zealand, but it could be good news for us.
Exactly. He keeps saying he wants to be out of the news. It's like, go there and be out of the news. We've been waiting for that. It almost looks like whistling past the graveyard because, there's legal questions about some of his activities, with FISA warrants, but also, interviewing President Trump at Trump Tower and telling him he's not under investigation when he is. I think you need to expect truth from the FBI if you can be arrested for not telling the FBI the truth. And there have even been these allegations that lots of people did tell the truth and they were charged with lying in these recent characters who've had legal action taken against them in the Trump administration, Flynn, Papadopoulos, and a couple of others. If you can be, there's questions he should be answering. He's not the Mr. Probity and Purity he claims to be, and that who couldn't possibly live in a country share a same country with President Trump, despite how good America's been to him. You want to just tell him, please leave. On the other hand, first thing you do is go look at the extradition treaty. Is he moving to someplace without it? It turns out they do have one, but it sounds like whistling past the graveyard, given that you almost think he probably will be answering some legal questions soon.
She is Monica Showalter. She's the deputy editor at American Thinker, AmericanThinker.com. Monica, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And she joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Balance of nature. Changing the world, one life at a time.
Back in January, February, I'd get home, make myself something to eat, blah, blah, blah. My girlfriend works nights. By 8:30, 8 o'clock, I'd be in bed. I'm sitting there thinking, okay, if this is what the rest of life is like, I'm doomed. Today is day 14 of me taking Balance of Nature. My energy level's through the roof. It took me 5 years of hearing it on talk radio to actually try it. The difference is night and day.
Experience the Balance of Nature difference for yourself. Call or go online now and become a preferred customer, which gives you our best pricing and free shipping. And we will take an additional 35% off of your first order. This will be a limited time offer, so don't wait. Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or go to balanceofnature.com and use discount code Chicago.
Hey, it's going to rain again. Is your basement going to take on water? Maybe it leaks only when it rains. Well, if you're sick and tired of that, then do something about it because you can have a permanently dry basement. Just give Permaseal a call at 800-421-SEAL. That's 800-421-7325 or go to permaseal.net. They offer a free estimate, no haggle pricing, and a price assurance guarantee so you can rest assured that you're getting the best value. Permaseal.net or call 800-421-SEAL.
Want your home's furnace to stay safe and reliable?
and want to prevent any potential problems before they happen? At your local 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning, we recommend an annual furnace inspection and tune-up. Right now, get big savings on a furnace tune-up. Call 855 1 Hour. Because not taking care of your furnace, that's just cold.
Your comfort is just a call away. Call 1 Hour.
Terms and conditions may apply. Call for details. Independently owned and operated. Licensed in the respective state or county.
No matter how long it's been, when you're back together, you still get that good old-fashioned feeling. Even though you've been apart, it's as though you've never left. That's right. Football season is back.
Reignite your spark right here on the Husky Sports Network.
The Huskies take on the Central Michigan Chippewas this Saturday morning at 11. Don't miss a minute of the action right here on AM 560. The Answer.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Larry Nora, founder and CEO of U-Store It, a network of award-winning self-storage facilities in the Chicago area, and a customer of Signature Bank. We've developed over 70 storage centers throughout the city and suburbs, and our business continues to grow. We need a bank who understands the neighborhoods and communities where we are making investments. We found that in Signature Bank. They know this city and its neighborhoods because they are based right here in Chicago. Finding a local banking institution like Signature Bank has been critical to the success of U-Store It, and we look forward to a long-term relationship.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Liberty Mutual Insurance Company presents. And Doug.
Yoto, my office, now! Limu, Doug, you're being transferred across town.
Oh, because they haven't heard that Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance, so you only pay for what you need.
No, it's because Limu keeps eating the chips on Janine's desk. And her keyboard, and her expense reports, and her stress balls, and her...
Liberty. Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Hi there, Saver. Looking for a Medicare plan to help you save on more than just prescriptions? Medicare Advantage plans may offer prescription drug, medical, and hospital coverage. Walgreens is a preferred network pharmacy with many Medicare Advantage plans, including United Healthcare. So when you enroll in a plan with Walgreens as your preferred pharmacy, you know you're saving smartly. Walgreens, trusted since 1901. Other plans may be accepted.
AM 560. The Answer.
Well, she resigned. She said she had to because she's the victim, Dan, of the right-wing media. Of course, I'm talking about Katie Hill, who told her story yesterday.
Hi, I'm Katie Hill, and last night I announced the most difficult decision of my life, that I would be resigning from Congress. I made this decision so that my supporters, my family, my staff, and our community will no longer be subjected to the pain inflicted by my abusive husband and the brutality of hateful political operatives. This coordinated campaign carried out by the right-wing media and Republican opponents, enabling and perpetuating my husband's abuse by providing him a platform, is disgusting and unforgivable.
Her actions were disgusting.
There's,
but they were, and now she's blaming her husband, and she's the victim.
So she was in a throuple. She apparently, with her consent, had pictures of herself, other pictures posted online on wife swap sites. Would you F my, under a heading, would you F my wife? Okay. Now her husband's abusive somehow. Her husband's engaged in revenge porn. That's what she's intimating. She's presented no evidence to support that contention, but she's making that contention anyway. And frankly, she's had some Republican colleagues sort of rally to her defense. This wouldn't be happening to her if she was a man, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, it would be, and even more so.
And it should be. And it's fortunate that there's not, including some Republicans apparently, an ability to speak with moral clarity on this sort of deviancy. Talk about defining deviancy down. Katie Hill is got all kinds of other issues too, including assertions that she has issues with alcohol. She has mental health issues. She's a hot mess, is what she is. Minus the hot, I just mean she's a mess.
She's a mess.
And
her new mission in life, Dan, is she's going to help others who are victims of revenge porn.
No, she's not. But it's a fun statement out the door, and we'll see you later. Don't let it hit you in the ass on the way out, Katie Hill. Bye-bye.
Hope she gets the help she needs. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Trump takes on Eddie Johnson's Chicago values. And speaking of those values, another Democrat state rep from Chicago indicted for corruption at 808.
But now let's head straight into that newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Elmhurst College closed again due to more threatening graffiti. WIND, Chicago News Time, 8 o'clock.
He'll take his concerns from the White House to the House. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. A National Security Council staffer will show up at the Capitol this hour. The next witness in the impeachment inquiry. Fox's John Decker live at the White House.
The president tweeting, "Why are people that I never even heard of testifying about the call?" The tweet coming hours before Army Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Vindman, the top Ukraine expert on the National Security Council, is set to testify behind closed doors in the House impeachment inquiry. Vindman listened in to President Trump's July call with the Ukrainian president and was so alarmed by what he heard that he reported it to a top national security lawyer. In his prepared opening statement, Vindman is also expected to tell lawmakers that he did not think it was proper to demand that a foreign government investigate a U.S. citizen. Dave?
John, Republicans like Senator Marco Rubio frustrated by the Democrats' process.
Before they even testify, they make sure the press gets their written statement, and then afterwards they leak out snippets of what was said. You don't get to hear the cross-examination.
Thursday, House Democrats will vote to make the process more formal, like Republicans have demanded, setting up rules and procedures, giving the president more rights for defense. Democrats say it'll force him to cooperate. More than 1 million people could have their power cut again today in California to prevent windier weather from sparking more wildfires like the one burning the Los Angeles area that's torched 8 homes.
Firefighters telling me this morning they're very concerned about the high winds picking back up. We're sort of in the calm before the storm right now, but tonight they're expected to raise back up tonight, and they're concerned that embers could fly 1 to 2 miles and burn the 4 miles between where I'm standing and the Pacific Ocean.
Fox's Robert Gray in Brentwood. An even bigger wildfire is still burning to the north in Sonoma County. It has torched 57 homes. 18 more people have been killed in anti-government demonstrations in Iraq today. Masked gunmen shot protesters in Kabbalah. More than 240 have died this morning, or in the past few weeks, as they spoke out against corruption. America's listening to Fox.
Light rain showers, 36 degrees, 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. It's not too early to talk winter for the Chicago area, even though it's fall. Reports of snow this morning in Sugar Grove, Waukegan, and 0.6 of an inch of snow in Dixon. Chicago Teachers Union and the city expected to resume contract talks today following an hours-long session at the bargaining table. Both sides went home early this morning after 16 hours at the table. CTU General Counsel Robert Block saying the union, they believe, has laid out some sort of path for a deal and is waiting to hear from the city. Meantime, teaching assistants in Decatur are set to begin a strike, and some members of the Chicago Teachers Union will be going to Decatur to walk picket lines with teaching assistants there. Elmhurst College remains closed today as officials there investigate, along with Elmhurst police, threatening graffiti messages found on the West Suburban campus. The most recent graffiti found yesterday in the Dinkmeyer Residence Hall. Knicks rally from 18 down to beat the Bulls 105-98. Blackhawks begin a 4-game road trip tonight against Nashville. It's 8:03. Time for the AM 560 Business Beat. It's a service of Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Visit signaturebank.bank for your commercial banking needs. And now the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Deirdre Bolton, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Both Merck and Pfizer are reporting stronger than expected summer quarters. Alphabet, parent company of Google, reported a mixed quarter. It's taking in more money from advertising, but it's spending on improving its business. Shoemaker Steve Madden is reporting stronger sales in the summer quarter, and it's raising its quarterly dividend effective in December. Boeing CEO Dennis Muhlenberg answers questions from the Senate Transportation Committee today. Lawmakers want to know how the 737 MAX jet was certified. You may see some discounts in grocery stores to get you to try plant-based Beyond Meat products. The vegan protein company says it'll offer more discounts and promotions as it faces competition from other companies. It reported its first ever profit in the summer quarter, and it's raising expectations for the year. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Ginny Cosola, invested in you.
It's 8:04. We'll have a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Larry Elder says education doesn't always equal informed.
This is not about IQ. It's not about whether or not you've done well on your aptitude test. There are people that have a great deal of prestigious credentials, high IQs, high scores, who are absolutely either devoid of common sense or have bought into stuff that they've heard on television, have not bothered to research it themselves.
The Larry Elder Show. Weeknights at 7, right before Jay Sekulow at 9 on AM 560. The Answer.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
I'm Dr. Bob Arnott, and I treat pain with Salonpas. Before you take anything for back or joint pain, I recommend applying topical pain relievers first, like Salonpas Lidocaine Patch. Salonpas Lidocaine contains the maximum strength lidocaine available without a prescription. It blocks pain receptors, providing effective, long-lasting, and non-addictive relief. Also available in roll-on or cream. Look for the silver Salonpas box in the pain relief aisle. Salonpas, it's good medicine.
Do you want your basement to be dry most of the time? If so, Permaseal is not the company for you. At Permaseal, we believe your basement should be dry all the time, no matter how hard it rains. Hi, I'm Roy Spencer, president of Permaseal. I hear story after story of homeowners who say their basement only leaks when it rains. Well, you don't worry about your living room or bedroom getting wet when it rains, and you should feel the same way about your basement. Just call 800-421-SEAL. We offer a free estimate, no haggle pricing, and a price assurance guarantee, so you can rest assured that you're getting the best value. Your basement is already dry most of the time, but if you want your basement dry all the time, you know who to call. 800-421-SEAL. Permaseal has earned an A+ rating from the BBB and has received their 2016 Torch Award for Marketplace Ethics. That's 800-421-SEAL or visit permaseal.net.
Known best for being better, Permaseal.
8:07 AM 560 Traffic Center time. Jim Talamonte.
Westbound 8094 and northbound Tri-State traffic is heavy from Burnham Avenue to Chicago Road. And the Tri-State is jammed Cicero to 31st, and from the Reagan Tollway to Lawrence. Southbound Tri-State delays are 120 to Deerfield. Northbound Veterans Memorial, it's after I-55 to St. Charles. After the Army Trail toll to 290. Eden's 26 minutes, Lake Cook Junction. Kennedy, an hour and 7 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, 43 minutes from Montrose, 26 on the Express. Eisenhower, an hour and 15 minutes, 390 to downtown, 55 minutes from Manheim. Stevenson, an hour 25, 355 to the Drive. Ryan, 32 minutes from 95th. I-57, 34 minutes, I-80 to the Merge. Bishop Ford, an hour and 4 minutes. I'm Jim Talamonte. On AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning Weather Center and our meteorologist, Steve Williams.
A shower early this morning. Otherwise, clouds will give way to some sun. Chilly today, high 44. Clouds and occasional rain tonight, low 34. And then rain and chilly tomorrow with a daytime high at 42. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
In Chicago, 36 and drizzle right now. Midway, 38 in drizzle. Your next news update is at 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by On Target Radio. From firearms and Second Amendment rights to personal freedoms and government intrusions. Listen here Sunday nights at 9.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. President Trump in town yesterday to address the Association of Police Chiefs, and he took out after one in particular whose presence was not, or who was not present.
Absent.
Talking about Superintendent Eddie Johnson and the state of violence in Chicago.
But there is one person that's not here today. We're in Chicago. I said, where is he? I want to talk to him. In fact, more than anyone else, this person should be here because maybe he could learn something. And that's the Superintendent of Chicago Police, Eddie Johnson. A few days ago, Johnson said, quote, "The values of the people of Chicago are more important than anything President Trump would have to say." I don't think so. Because that's a very insulting statement after all I've done for the police. And I've done more than any other president's ever done for the police.
And he respects the police more than any other president.
The whole Chicago values, Oak Park values, our values.
Chick-fil-A values.
Can you just do me a favor? When you hear some politician or politician in uniform invoke that phrase, use that word, what do you mean? Be specific. I want to know what Oak Park values are. Yeah. I offered some suggestions. I want to know what Eddie Johnson means when he says Chicago values, because here's what I hear: Chicago politics. Our values are our politics are our values. Now, one could argue that, your values are reflected in your politics. So how do you like Chicago values as reflected in our politics? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. Are Chicago's values as reflected in Chicago's politics, are they your values? Or is Trump onto something? That no, Eddie Johnson's Chicago politics or political values are not more important than what the president can do to help keep families safe in Chicago. And he made the point that as critical as he was of Eddie Johnson and Chicago's political class, this initiative that will be rolled out, spearheaded by the Department of Justice to provide more support for police training, for violent crime interdiction and prosecution, that you got a line to the White House in Chicago if you want to make the call.
And we will work with, upon request, local police to help them, not to hinder them. And we're waiting for a call from Chicago because there's no place that we would rather help than Chicago.
And there's no place that needs the help more than Chicago.
Eddie Johnson.
I mean, what we're doing right now, it's not working.
Eddie Johnson responding to the contrary, Ms. Jacobson, that everybody came to town to find out how Eddie Johnson has engineered this miracle of peace and tranquility in Chicago.
I can tell you that we are making measurable progress in creating safer neighborhoods and building a world-class police department that the entire country can be proud of. That's evident by the thousands of police officers, professionals, and executives that are here in Chicago this week to see the Chicago turnaround. The president is right about one thing. Violent crime in the United States declined last year for the second consecutive year, according to FBI statistics. National murder rate fell by 6%, but it was Chicago that set the table for those reductions. Today, the same police officers the president criticized for their inability to protect this city spent all day protecting him.
How ignorant and dumb is he that he thinks police chiefs from around the country came to Chicago to learn from him? No, they came to Chicago because this is where the conference was being held, dum-dum. I mean, the arrogance.
And the statement that President Trump was critical of police officers, no, it was quite the opposite. He was critical of politicians in police uniforms like Eddie Johnson, who he called out by name, and used as an example to make the larger point. And Eddie Johnson put himself in the position to be used as that example to make that larger point. But as it pertains to individual officers, here's what actually happened during President Trump's remarks.
After a month in the hospital and multiple surgeries after that, Adam recently came home to his wife, Annie, and to his 2 young children, so badly hurt. We're profoundly grateful that Adam is with us today. Officer Wozni, we commend your tremendous bravery. Thank you.
Recognizing Chicago police officer Adam Wozni, who was shot and almost killed on the line of duty recently, recognizing him, recognizing and calling up to the stage officers representing the Dayton Police Department for their heroism in response to that mass shooting.
The synagogue shooting, he was offered, the off-duty police officer who stopped the madman.
Yeah.
He was honored.
Here's actually what Trump said about those rank-and-file officers who aren't politicians, they're police officers.
But an attack on law enforcement is an attack on all Americans. It's true.
So you see the difference, Eddie, Lori? I mean, it's really, really something, particularly because of the resource, how resource-starved the city is because, of course, the politicians are rapacious in terms of eating through other people's money, termite-like. And so 10% of CPS's budget, since we have a teacher strike, comes from the federal government. The resources that could be provided through the U.S. Attorney's Office and partnering with federal law enforcement, if it wasn't a sanctuary city. And even though it is still willing, as President Trump said, if you want to pick up the phone and say, we want to partner with federal law enforcement, we want access to federal resources to do a better job in conjunction with, since we don't have a real prosecutor in the Cook County State's Attorney's Office, the U.S. Attorney's Office, to deal with violent criminals in Chicago. It's just a remarkable contrast. And I say again, as I said earlier, the comments from Eddie Johnson and the tweet from Lori Lightfoot and the comments from President Trump and the reaction he got from police chiefs from around the country, that is an important frame on 2020.
And, of course, the local media jumped on the fact that he compared Chicago to Afghanistan.
It's an important frame on 2020 as it pertains to, do you want to stand on the side of law enforcement? Law enforcement has to be held accountable for bad actors and bad actions like any other organization, like any other American. But do you want to generally stand? Do you want to default stand with law enforcement and the rule of law? Or do you want to stand with the Black Lives Matter, Antifa, Marxist agitators, thugs, community disintegrators, and political hacks like Lord Over Chicago? Where do you want to stand? That should be a question in your mind when you think about who your vote for president is who you're going to vote for president. That should be a question in your mind. Yeah, President Trump.
Here's that.
On Afghanistan.
Yeah. Afghanistan is a safe place by comparison. It's true. Police officers of Chicago are entitled to a police superintendent who has their backs and knows what he's doing.
And then Ben Bradley tweeted out, at least 717 civilians have been killed by Afghan and coalition forces in the first 6 months. Compared to Chicago, our murder rate is down 11% this year, 413 murders. So President Trump is wrong.
Ben Bradley, I mean, I like Ben Bradley.
I love Ben Bradley.
But that is such an idiotic response. Ben Bradley doesn't understand, by even arguing the point, you've lost the argument. Do you think that that's a win for Chicago, making an apples to oranges comparison about a war zone and the relative homicide, the incidence of homicide in Chicago? Hey, this just it. Let's put that on our Chamber of Commerce brochures.
Yeah.
Chicago's safer than Kabul. Come and visit. You dumbass. That is the same thing that Eddie Johnson and the political class is doing when they marginalize. Yeah, we got some problems on the South and West Side. But, I mean, why don't you just say it? This is what would be attributed to Eddie Johnson and Lori Lightfoot if they were white, if they were Republicans. Why don't you just say it? We got some problems with black people on the South and West Sides, but we don't care. because it's not that bad. Because the Navy Pier's safe, and so is the Mag Mile. It's fine. Eddie Johnson's words under the previous mayor, we have it contained to a few police districts. Oh, you have it contained. 800 murders 3 years ago, north of 600 the next year, north of 500, as President Trump mentioned last year. You think this is something where we're supposed to run around congratulating ourselves? This isn't a city on fire because we have some safe areas too. Does every life matter or not? And to compare, by the way, Ben Bradley and other dum-dums that I saw like on Chicago Tonight, to compare killings in a war zone, coalition troops trying to combat terrorists and civilian sympathizers to those terrorists, to individual, mostly young people, mostly young black people killing each other on the streets of Chicago. You think that's a fair comparison? You think that reflects well on Chicago? Are you out of your mind? Are you so beset, so sickened by the Stockholm Syndrome that afflicts this city that you can't see how ridiculous that position is? Jim in Kane County, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
I'd like to qualify myself first by saying that I spent 31 years on the Chicago Police Department. And Eddie Johnson, to me, is an example of the old saying, I serve at the pleasure of the mayor. The problem is, in the past, we had superintendents in my past that actually acted as advocates for the rank-and-file police officers when needed to stand up to the politics. Unfortunately, he's caved in all the way.
Thanks, Jim. Well, I mean, I said this before. Eddie Johnson, I don't know him personally. We've had him on the show a couple of times. Seems like a perfectly nice guy, but he seems like the sort of useful idiot company man that is the reason one of the reasons that Chicago's the worst governed city in America. And it's one of the reasons Illinois is the worst governed state in American history, because you have craven, mob-ish politicians that are supported by useful idiots all around them and a docile population layered over it.
And he likes to drink and take naps in his cars at stop signs.
Well, you know, some of those attacks by the president, it's enough to drive you to drink. Bob and Lyle.
He has a driver. Use your driver.
Yeah, hi.
Simple.
Thanks for having me on. You know, I'm 70 years old. I'm ex-law enforcement. And I went to Europe in the 60s, and you ride on the buses and the trains there, and all the people would say, boom, 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 Al Capone.
Yeah,
so Chicago's got the this notoriety as being, it actually is the capital of the murder capital of the world, if you really think about it. And the president was right that there are war zones where there's more, peaceful things than that happen in Chicago. What I don't understand for the life of me, why don't they issue warrants for the arrests for the criminal violations of not obeying federal law on this immigration stuff? To me, sanctuary cities and all that, you can't have two sets of laws. This is a major problem, and everybody's, they don't want to give this president credit because he's a Republican. I think the whole thing's a debacle in Chicago.
Thanks for the call, Bob. President Trump addressed the fact of Chicago sanctuary city status and what it's meant.
Chicago is unfortunately the worst sanctuary city in America. Chicago protects criminals at a level few could even imagine. Last year in Cook County alone, ICE asked local law enforcement people to please, pretty please, we beg you, we'll do anything necessary to stop crime. We want to stop crime. Please detain 1,162 people, please. But in each case, the detainer was denied. And Eddie Johnson wants to talk about values. No. People like Johnson put criminals and illegal aliens before the citizens of Chicago. And those are his values. And frankly, those values to me are a disgrace. I will never put the needs of illegal criminals before I put the needs of law-abiding citizens. It's very simple.
It is very simple, and there's a simple distinction between the two value systems. President Trump's values as it pertains to policy versus Eddie Johnson and Lori Lightfoot's. Which do you prefer?
And, their protests yesterday, they pretty much paralyzed downtown Chicago. And one of the protesters...
He has no right to be president. He has no right. He's an anarchist, and he's destroying our country from within.
And Jesse Sharkey, those that you thought 20,000 of your CTU union members were going to show up, a fourth did. Only about 5,000 showed up. Because nobody...
Only.
Well, compare. They wanted 20,000. They said they had that civil disobedience training, Dan. They were ready to go. They thought they were ordered, you have to go to protest Trump, and 5,000 showed up out of 20,000.
25% of the Chicago teacher population showed up, and you're suggesting what? That's good news?
Well, they're losing interest. It used to be more that would go downtown every day to picket, and they're...
You're really grasping at straws here. 5,000 teachers show up. A quarter of the teacher population, and you think that's good news.
They wanted 20,000 or 25,000
Of course, they don't have 25,000 teachers.
20,000 teachers, whatever.
They want everybody to show up. Of course they do. Getting 25% is pretty good and pretty depressing, isn't it? Kristen McQuarrie, by the way, on the Chicago Teachers Union has a great riff about them showing up to be instrumental in the protest. Strikes have become team-building exercises for teachers' unions trying to stay relevant. Strikes galvanize, they motivate, they bond. It's an exercise CTU doesn't want to cut short. See how the strike is all about the kids, Chicago? Your vision should be crystal clear. Sorry, Kristen, we got blinders on in Chicago. Dan in Libertyville.
Dan, I cannot thank you enough for talking about a topic that 99% of Chicago media people will not touch with a 10-foot pole. They're scared to death of it. And it's one of the things I'll say. You asked, do they represent my values? Hell no. They're 100% polar opposite. I'm so fed up with the people who just wish to go along because, you know what, I'm in a union and I don't want to risk my benefits. So I will live in a quagmire of corruption and filth and decay because I've got to get mine. It's all about people wanting to get theirs, and they don't give a damn about what's happening to the rest of their community. Chicago has recently been revealed to have had their state's attorney supported by George Soros to the tune of $300,000 in her campaign. So who's controlling Chicago?
Thanks for the call, Dan. I mean, speaking of Chicago values, Luis Arroyo, who's a state rep's been there since 2006. He was arraigned yesterday on corruption charges. It seems like wide-ranging investigations by the U.S. Attorney's Office. Don't count on Kim Foxx for that, or Kwame Raoul, of course not. The entire the Democrat caucus season is being cleaned out by the U.S. Attorney's Office. It's sort of going on unnoticed. But Arroyo also, he tried to bribe a state senator who was wired up because that state senator, believed to be Terry Link from Vernon Hills, filed a false tax return. So he expects to be charged too. This on top of Ed Burke. This on top of Tom Cullerton. This on top of the offices of Marty Sandoval being raided. I mean, if there was an opposition party, you might be able to take advantage of it. But as long as it's at the rank and file level, the street useful idiot level, these guys will just get replaced in these districts. The electorate won't know the difference, won't care what the difference is, and everything will just continue on. The only hope this city and state has is the U.S. Attorney's Office gets to some kingpins beyond Burke. Chicago values, 100 years of them. Sean in Elmwood Park.
Nobody does failure and arrogance like a Chicago Democrat. I absolutely love it. But, Prof, there's a trick, a swindler trick. You saw it many years ago. Trump said numbers. From the talking mannequins and their dissertation, they say percentages. It's a trick to disconnect you from the fact 2,300 people were shot. Thank God these CPS students can't do anything right, or the murder rate would be way higher. It's by a miracle that only 567 died, 2,300 shot. So when you factor in your Afghanistan stats. How many American soldiers were shot? That's how I'd like to do it. Do numbers. Let's not follow these talking mannequins. And by the way, what's with Flannery's hair? The penciled in mustache, the weak comb over. It's ridiculous. And he's supposed to be the closest we have to a conservative. That's how you know we're done. It's like what you're talking about, Arroyo. What's the problem? His wife was a lobbyist. He was doing a shortcut. How many Illinois Republicans have brothers that are lobbyists?
Excuse me. He was a lobbyist, too. And thanks for the call, Sean. And the idea that you can be a sitting state legislator and a lobbyist, too. You can be an alderman and the idea that you can be elected official while you're lobbying other units of government that you have influence on. I mean, that's just typical of the kleptocracy. Chicago values.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We'll talk about the NBA's values with Joe Concha, media reporter, columnist for The Hill. Charles Barkley tells Mike Pence to shut his mouth. I don't think so at 8:38.
And then later, another reason why Dan Proft is single. But first, let's get into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Dan and Amy, good morning. Good morning, everyone. We have light rain showers and 36 degrees. It's not too early for winter, apparently. Sugar Grove, Waukegan, Dixon this morning, all receiving a touch of snow. Chicago Teachers Union in the city expected to resume contract talks later today following a marathon session at the bargaining table yesterday. It actually ended early this morning after 16 hours of talks. Wildfires continue to ravage parts of California. Not only are folks there dealing with devastating blazes and hundreds of thousands without power, but there are more high winds expected to re-enter California today. A high-level current White House national security official will meet with Congress today, part of that impeachment inquiry led by Democrats into President Trump. A Texas police officer remains in critical condition after being shot at an early morning traffic stop near Dallas-Fort Worth. The officer has not yet been identified and is undergoing surgery. The CEO of Chicago-based Boeing says mistakes were made. Dennis Muhlenberg will testify today and tomorrow at 2 congressional hearings. He'll apologize and read from a prepared statement about 2 deadly plane crashes 5 months apart. Elmhurst College remains closed today. Officials investigating threatening graffiti messages found on the West Suburban campus. And a Gary, Indiana man has been charged in the shooting deaths of 3, then setting a fire that destroyed the home occupied by the victims. Reginald Carter fatally shot his girlfriend and 2 family members on Friday. Lake County prosecutors say the 31-year-old has been charged with 3 counts of murder. Knicks rally from 18 down to beat the Bulls in New York, 105-98. The news service of Panera Bread. At Panera, get breakfast that's fast, not fast food. Try a new Chipotle chicken scrambled egg and avocado breakfast wrap. Pair it with a premium, freshly ground, freshly brewed coffee, all ready to go with the push of a button. Panera, food as it should be. 8:32 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
All right, if your roof's needy, you can call Crumweedy. Hey, Sean Hannity here. If your roof is leaky, if the shingles are curling, or if your roof isn't right after storms, then you need to call Crumweedy with roofing companies, and the difference is, of course, installation. Now, Crumweedy, they know that, and that's why they follow the manufacturer's specifications, so your warranty is totally intact, and many companies don't do that, and that could void your warranty. If you hate high-pressure sales tactics, not from Crumweedy. They give you good, better, best options. You make the choice, no pressure. Crumweedy is a roof that lasts at a fair price. Now, Mark Olson and Greg Olson of Crumweedy, they lead this 3rd-generation family business that's been doing Chicagoland roofs since 1953. Now, they fix roof problems, so if your roof is needy, call Crumweedy. That's 630-595-8020. That's 630-595-8020. They're online, of course, at myroofisneedy.com.
Raj Shah, host of Secure Retirement Radio.
I spoke to one person and, I asked him a simple question is, what do you want to do with your retirement? And he said, I want to protect it. Because if it does go down and not come back, do you have enough time in the market to recover those losses?
Tune in for Secure Retirement Radio with Raj Shah, Chicago's safe money strategist. Sunday mornings at 7 here on AM 560, The Answer.
You love listening to AM 560, The Answer. How would you like to work for us? If you have experience in sales, we'd love to talk to you. You already understand our mission and what we do, so now maybe you'd like to join our team. If you have sales experience, and specifically if you understand digital marketing, we might have a job for you. If you love us, come join us. It could be a life-changing opportunity for you. For more information, just go to the Careers tab at salemmedia.com.
My name is David Hochberg. If you'd like to pay off debt, call Team Hochberg now about a cash-out refinance. During September, Team Hochberg helped listeners convert over $1.3 million of their home's equity into cash to pay off credit cards, student loans, car loans, medical bills, collections, and IRS tax liens, which saved them over $12,000 a month. Since January, Team Hochberg has reduced listeners' payments over $137,000 a month for an annualized savings of over $1.6 million a year. Seriously, what are you waiting for? Call Team Hochberg now to do a cash-out refinance to pay off debt and substantially lower your monthly payments. Think of all the things you could do with an extra couple $100 up to $2,000 a month you'd be saving. Call Team Hochberg now at 855-56-DAVID or visit 56david.com. Team Hochberg has helped thousands of AM 560 listeners, but we can't help if you don't call 855-56-DAVID or visit 56david.com. Homeside Financial Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 1124061.
8:35 AM 560 Traffic Center time, and here is Jim Telemonte.
Inbound Eden's delays start at Devon, 26 minutes. Lake Hook to Montrose. The Kennedy, 55 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, 41 from Montrose, 31 of the Express. Eisenhower, an hour and 15 minutes, 390 to downtown, and 55 minutes from Manheim. Outbound, an hour and 5 minutes to 390. Stevenson, an hour 25, 355 Lakeshore Drive. Ryan, 32 minutes from 95th. Bishop Fort Brutal, an hour, 80-94 to the merge. Southbound Lakeshore Drive is heavy Foster to North Avenue, northbound from the Stevenson to Jackson. Northbound Tri-State delays, Cicero to 31st, and from the Reagan Tollway to Lawrence. Southbound 120 to Deerfield, northbound Veterans Memorial jammed. I-55 to St. Charles, and from the Army Trail Toll to 290. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560 The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast. From the 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning Weather Center, a shower in the area through the morning, chilly. Clouds may break for a little bit of sunshine by the afternoon, but only a high of 44. Occasional rain and snow overnight, low of 34. Currently 36. Next news at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Papa Nicholas Coffee. Papa Nicholas, great coffee, period.
Let freedom ring this afternoon at 2 with Sean Hannity on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. I told you I went to Bulls home opener on Saturday night.
And took a nap, right? Or did you read a book?
That is such a terrible product. I mean, the good news, there were no Hong Kong protesters, of course, because we only tolerate protests for more government in Chicago, so they knew they wouldn't get much support here. But also, you don't have any players on the Bulls that have appeal in the Chicago market.
Right.
Much less the American market, much less the Chinese market. So there's not much at stake, although that didn't encourage any Bulls to come forward.
Yeah, but people like to cheer for a hometown hero, so when you had, Derrick Rose, when you had people that were from here, it was exciting.
Yeah, it was
Dwayne
exciting
Wade.
for one season with Derrick Rose. It was exciting for one season with Dwayne Wade.
But it was, at least he was here.
I mean, that is a bad basketball team. I'm just forewarning you. They're not a very good shooting team. There is no frontline defense. The only player who does anything going to the basket is Zach LaVine. And I know there's high hopes for Kobe, but he ain't no Kobe Bryant. Whew. It's going to be a long year. And that's against the backdrop of
and
the
how were the
Bears
fans,
fizzling,
though?
too.
Were they sleeping?
They were perfectly attentive to the
mediocrity,
to the Lovables, to the gymnastics. T-shirt cannons that got them very excited.
Okay,
to the
good.
gymnastics interludes. Yes, the interregnums.
Is Benny the Bull still there?
When they weren't playing basketball, it was fun.
Oh, okay, that's what you're
It's
saying.
just the basketball portion of the evening that's the problem. Charles Barkley commenting on Mike Pence, commenting on the NBA's cowardice in apologizing, lying supine, as did LeBron James and James Harden before Chinese communists. But Barkley doesn't want Mike Pence chiming in. This is a matter for NBAers only.
Vice President Pence needs to shut the hell up. These holier than thou politicians, if they so want to worry about China, why don't they stop all transactions with China? I think it's unfair for them to do all their business in China, and just because this thing happened, try to make the NBA and our players look bad. All American companies do business in China.
Well, not all American companies do business in China, but he does raise the issue of the limits of being blindly pro-capitalist. Should there be consideration for human rights? And by the way, Mike Pence isn't making the NBA look bad. No politician is. The NBA made the NBA look bad. Yeah. For more on this topic, we're pleased to be joined by Joe Concha. He's a media reporter and columnist for The Hill, host of WOR Tonight on 710 WOR in NYC. That would be New York City. Joe, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Of course. And just to touch on your Bulls for a second, and I'm sorry to hear that they're that bad. I knew they'd be bad, but I guess seeing them in person, now you know what's going on. I'm literally looking at a picture. I'm doing this interview from my home. It's of Michael Jordan in 1998, and you see the shot clock. It's down to 6 seconds left in the game. It's at Utah, Game 6.
Yes.
And the ball's leaving his hand. And the picture is taken from behind Jordan. So you see all of Utah in terms of the crowd in the background, right? And the people that are crying and just have their hands over their mouth, and the ball's just leaving Jordan's hands, is one of the great shots you'll ever see. I recommend people Google it. You could find it, because they all know the ball's going in.
Well, we all know it well here in Chicago.
Incredible. Women crying. What's that?
That was back in the time in the NBA and in Chicago, led by Jordan's protocol that Republicans buy sneakers too, where they were less focused on virtue signaling political stunts and more focused on winning championships. So that's a bygone era these days, Joe.
Dan, that is a great, what we call in the business, a pivot, right? You're saying, get back on Barkley, conscious. Stop talking about Jordan. I get it. So you seamlessly did that. Don't think I didn't notice that.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, look, the reason why people have a problem with NBA players and coaches so much on this particular issue is because they have been so sanctimonious and so pious when it comes to issues here at home, where they're more than happy to take a side, particularly in North Carolina with the bathroom bill. Remember, you can only use a bathroom of your legal gender that's on your birth certificate. The NBA had such a problem with that, taking a side, that they decided to pull their All-Star game out of Charlotte. In Arizona, Jan Brewer had some sort of executive order to limit illegal immigration. They had such a problem with that they spoke out against the Phoenix Suns. We hear everything that Steve Kerr and LeBron James and even Charles Barkley have to say about the current administration and this president, and in this case with Barkley, Mike Pence. And isn't that funny? Charles Barkley telling Mike Pence to shut the hell up when Barkley has made quite the second career post-basketball out of exercising his First Amendment and free speech and speaking out about all things except China. So I guess you can't call him Sir Charles anymore. He is now Comrade Charles.
Yeah, there you go. And something else that's interesting to know, too, is I remember all of the heat that Laura Ingraham got for telling Kevin Durant to just shut up and dribble. She has to stay in her lane, but Charles does not.
It's something like that, right? Because, look, if Laura Ingraham doesn't work for Fox News, then suddenly the target isn't on her back. And there are actually boycotts where several advertisers ended up pulling their ads from her program just for saying that. And look, she was just playing off something she's written years ago in a book. And a lot of people say this about rock concerts as well, right? When I go see, I'm a Jersey guy, I go see Springsteen, I don't want to hear about how horrible Trump is and how great this politician is and how great this policy is. Just play the music. Well, I think that's the only thing I'm talking about. I'm not saying you can't have an opinion, but when I'm paying $50, $100, $200 to go see you sing, I want to hear you sing. And when I go see a basketball game, I want to hear basketball. I don't want to hear about protests. I don't want to hear Steve Kerr lecturing me after the game instead of telling me how bad the Warriors are going to be this year. And they're going to be bad, thank God. Sorry.
Well, is there going to be any ramifications for what Charles Barkley did or said?
No, of course
nothing
not.
at all.
Well,
Charles is
fine,
untouchable,
no.
right?
I mean,
what's TNT going to do? Well, he doesn't play for the league, so they can't find him. And TNT will just say, "Hey, we're doing good. We're doing good opinion programming here." You know, it's, Shaquille O'Neal said that Daryl Morey, the Houston Rockets general manager, and remember what all this comes from, by the way, a 7-word tweet where all he did was just repeat a slogan. Fight for freedom, stand with Hong Kong. That's what's caused this whole thing. But Shaq came out in support of Morey. Barkley is against him. I guess that's America at its finest in terms of debating and free speech.
Well, and also and Charles helped to further the conversation. So we thank him for being, dare I say, a role model in that way, which is to say, we now know, more people know what the NBA doesn't want you to know, which is that their bread is buttered in the Chinese market. That's why James Harden has a $200 million Adidas contract. LeBron James is more concerned with Space Jam 2 being released in China than he is with the Lakers winning a championship. So that's where their mind's eye is, because that's where their money is made. So fine, now that we know that can be factored into whether or not you want to patronize the NBA, and I think I'm going to stop.
That's great. And in 2020, then, when we hear them weigh in on the presidential election again, the words are going to ring hollow, won't they? Because, okay, you're brave again, aren't you? You weren't with China when you had some money involved. And by the way, getting back to the whole North Carolina bathroom story when the NBA pulled their All-Star game out of there, there are 1 million Muslims that are currently detained in Chinese concentration camps. I'm pretty sure they probably don't have the nicest bathrooms there. Not a peep out of Barkley on that one, though, and standing up for people who can't stand up for themselves, which he's quoted as saying before. And the bottom line is our media doesn't care about China either, right? I mean, there was a debate on CNN a couple of weeks ago where for 3 hours, 12 candidates, the moderators, dozens of questions. China doesn't come up once. I'm not even talking about this NBA thing, but in terms of, the fact that if you're going to run the country, you probably better have a strategy for China, and no one wants to talk about that. They rather talk about George W. Bush and Ellen together at a Cowboys game. That's what our media cares about.
Well, what do you think, though, in terms of the potential to really bring more people's focus into what's happening to our political culture because of the poisoning effect it's having in sport, not just with the NBA and China, but also with things like this runner at University of Montana who was named the NCAA Female Athlete of the Week. There's just one problem. It's a dude.
My wife ran Georgetown, full scholarship, the whole thing. And she sees this, and she gets so angry. She's just like, this is not fair. And the girls that are in these races against these men, as you call them, because that's what they are, they know they're going to lose just right out of the bat because of genetics. And the fact that we're not only allowing this, but celebrating it by giving him Female Athlete of the Week or month or whatever it is.
But he didn't
I don't
even
even know what
change
to
his
say,
name.
man.
His name's Johnny. He didn't even change it to Joan or Julie. I mean...
So you identify. So what? Why do I have to change my name? I just identify.
Well, that's taking
Sometimes you feel like you have nuts. Sometimes you don't. Right? Right.
I don't know. That's not an androgynous name. Like Joe, I could just become Joanne. That's easy.
Right, but his name
to stay Johnny. Yeah, that's thumbing your nose at society's conventions, I guess. Like,
it's a slap in the face to all women athletes.
But it's interesting because
he knew exactly what
we have this going on in Chicago. We have this little teacher strike you may have heard about, Joe, and a lot of the parents, including my co-host here, who have kids in the CPS, they're mostly exercised about the impact on sports, and I just wonder if sports can be the intersection of sports and politics is actually the way for us to claw back and push out politics from all aspects of our life, including sport and art and other. In a halcyon era, sacrosanct sectors of civil society.
Yeah, I think the NFL, as far as the escapism, it's has higher ratings this year. They're up about 7%. I'm not saying this is totally because of it, but I don't hear about the kneeling anymore, and I don't. The political aspect's kind of been taken out of it, so I can watch the Bears drive down to the 22-yard line and then miss another field goal to lose a game.
Yes.
And by the way, what the hell was the coach thinking? Just going to a knee at 40 seconds. I'm New Jersey's only Bear fan, so now I have your audience. At 40 seconds, you're going to go to a knee and run it down to 3. Give it to Montgomery a couple of times to get closer to the goal line.
I'm
sorry.
Everybody said that, even the ladies.
I'm still trying to understand the 3rd and goal from the 8 sweep call in the first half. So I haven't even gotten to the field goal yet.
Right. Have a little confidence in
It takes them a while to process it.
Getting back to this Montana runner, remember Caitlyn Jenner? She won the ESPY Award for the Arthur Ashe Courage Award. And there literally were other athletes. There's one girl that was in high school who had stage 4 cancer and still finished out the season. But no, we can't give it to her. So everything's become so politically correct to the point of being nauseating that I don't know. I just wish that we could separate the two. Sports be sports, politics be politics, and that's it. But I think they're so intertwined now that it's impossible.
He is Joe Concha, media reporter and columnist for The Hill, host of WOR Tonight on 710 WOR in New York City. And check out his recent column in The Hill on Charles Barkley. I'll tweet it out at Dan Proft. Joe, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, you're the best. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Sports and politics and sports and politics and sports and politics and intersection. Arrogance and ignorance. Arrogance, ignorance, and arrogance and ignorance. Intersection.
If you're talking about it, Dan and Amy are talking about it. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Rick Blavelone, second-generation owner and CEO of Marketing Innovators and a customer of Signature Bank. Our family-run company was founded on the belief that connecting to people on a human level is the best way to build a great business. And when we were looking for a new bank, we didn't have to look far. We shared an office building with Signature Bank in Rosemont and quickly saw that they were truly locally owned and operated. That's why we partnered with Signature. And that relationship makes every business decision better and every communication clearer. Marketing Innovators looks forward to a long-lasting relationship with Signature Bank.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Balance of Nature, changing the world one life at a time.
Your product is absolutely amazing. I can't tell you how my life has been changed so completely. I'm just at a loss to describe. I don't know how I could ever tell Dr. Howard and Susan, his dear wife, how much I deeply appreciate all the work they put into this magnificent product. I mean, there's so many things that have improved, and I'm only just beginning.
Experience the Balance of Nature difference for yourself. Call or go online now and become a preferred customer, which gives you our best pricing and free shipping. And we will take an additional 35% off of your first order. This will be a limited time offer, so don't wait. Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751 or go to balanceofnature.com and use discount code Chicago.
If you're self-employed and purchase your own health insurance, I have some good news. From now until December 15th, you cannot be denied coverage based on a pre-existing condition, and depending on your income, you may find a more affordable plan. And this year, thanks to President Trump, if you're healthy and your income is too high to qualify for a subsidy, there is a new and competitive non-Obamacare marketplace where premiums are much lower and the PPO networks include access to our teaching hospitals in Chicago. Employers who provide small group coverage also have new options, and so do seniors looking for Medicare supplement coverage. Call me, I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Obamacare, then you need a local expert on your side. Your own health insurance mentor. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 20-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for 7 years. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551.
Hey everyone, Ken here. For 2 years now, you've heard Carrie and I use metaphors to test to see if you think your home or your business could use a revenue shot in the backside. Today, because of our new website, I can be a little bit more direct. Income Store has 2 doors. If you have more time than money, you're going to live under door number 1. You're going to see over 400 digital assets, 5 to 20 minutes apiece, that'll teach you how to manage numbers and lead people, or show you 6 growth tips you've never heard of. All of this so you can start growing your home or your business revenue literally immediately. If you have more money than time, door number 2 is going to be for you. You can view some of our managed services, look for more done-for-you packages. 34% of Americans in 2018 visited one of our managed services. Forbes 3 years in a row quoted, Income Store is an expert at generating home or business revenue. If you'd love to explore how to check out adding revenue to your home or business, just go to incomestore.com. That's incomestore.com.
VansIndustrial.com. Attention maintenance coordinators. Fans are a vital part of your business's building or factory. You've got to keep the air moving. But when they break down or need service, who can you call? Vans Industrial repair all types of fans, from small wall fans to large air movers.
Hi, I'm Dave Van Camp, president of Vans Industrial. Fan repair is one of many services that Vans offers. If you have a fan with a damaged shaft, bearing, impeller, or housing, we can help. And if you need a new fan, we handle all major brands and can provide engineering assistance to properly size your new fan. Our crews can respond to your emergencies or routine maintenance and will have your fan back up and running fast. And when we're done repairing your fan, we can also dynamically balance it so it runs smooth for years to come.
Vans uses only the best and safest union-trained mechanics, insured at the highest level, to perform the job right. Call 833-VANS-IND to get your fan repaired today. That's 833-VANS-IND. Or on the web at vansindustrial.com.
AM 560. The Answer.
Time now for another reason why Dan Proft is single.
I know.
Boy, it's a double entendre here. Spandau Ballet. And we're talking about an execution. This case, self-execution.
There was a Boston college student who had a long relationship with this lovely lady named Miss You. And she pretty much, we've heard this before, but she texted him all the time. She actually texted him to death.
In the 47,000 text messages, yes, there were many, many instances where she instructed him to do so.
And she would try to, tell him your life isn't worth it. You're a complete failure. Kill yourself. 47,000 text messages.
These are both undergrads. These are both undergrads at Boston College.
Yeah, and 90 minutes before he was supposed to graduate, she lured him to a parking garage and was like, do it. Kill yourself. Do it. Jump off the building. And he did.
Miss Yu made demands and threats with the understanding that she had complete and total control over Mr. Ortula, both mentally and emotionally.
So what happened yesterday is that this 21-year-old diva, In Young Yu, that's her full name, she was charged with manslaughter.
Charged in absentia because she's in South Korea.
Yeah, she's not coming back. But
the district attorney is cautiously optimistic. She said that you will come back either voluntarily or through the exercise of American law enforcement pressure. We'll see.
I mean, 47,000 text messages? Oh, actually, in the 2 months leading up, there were 75,000 text messages, and 47,000 of those were sent by her saying clearly, that you need to kill yourself, you're spiraling depression, your suicidal thoughts, act on them now.
It's
crazy. I wouldn't joke about it, but it's very serious stuff.
It's barbaric behavior on the part of the woman. The same thing in that Michelle Carter suicide texting case, where she was convicted of involuntary manslaughter after she said, after a judge determined her text to her boyfriend persuaded him to kill himself. This is 5 years ago now.
Yeah, he shot himself in the head. He was in his car, and she didn't stop him. She's like, do it, pull the trigger. That was the last text message she sent to him.
Yeah, maybe in civil cases. Boy, the idea that you're criminalizing, whatever, emotional and psychological manipulation, these are really tough cases to make out. So I don't know. There's some dangerous precedent setting here in terms of suggesting that people don't have agency for their own actions, including, unfortunately, this young man who took his life. I'm a little uncomfortable with some of these prosecutions.
Really?
Civilly, maybe, intentional infliction of emotional distress, you could have a claim. But in terms of criminality, she has agency over him. He had no agency. That's what you'd essentially have to argue in order to convict her of manslaughter. Boy, I don't know.
Do you think they'll extradite her back here from South Korea?
I think, if somebody is sending you messages that you should kill yourself, then you should probably break it off.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I think.
Dan's dating advice. If a woman's acting creepy or stalking you or making you feel uncomfortable or trying to dominate you, break it off.
Well,
change your phone number.
They all make you feel uncomfortable. That's not the standard. The standard is if she's telling you to kill yourself over and over again. I think like past 10 or 12,000 times. Yeah. Then I think it's a bit much, and you probably need to, get back on one of the dating sites and see who else is out there that may be a little bit less antagonistic.
Don't your fingers start cramping up if you're texting somebody 47,000 times?
Yeah, the frequency is an issue, but I think
Yeah,
it's the
okay.
substance of the messages that is really the central point
Yes.
here. Yeah.
And real quickly, because Amundsen's going to play. What's the name of that school we're playing?
Oh my gosh.
Mar-
I mean, honestly,
Marmion. I said it.
I'm exhausted by the CPS the playoff eligible football teams.
Make a prediction. What's the score going to be?
The score is going to be Marmion will have more than Amundsen if that game is played at all, which I assume it won't be.
Well, we'll find out tomorrow.
Well, let's see. Last year was St. Francis. I predicted 48-6.
No, you 49-6.
49-6. And what was the score?
49-6.
Yeah, right.
That was crazy.
I'm going to say Marmion, if the game is played.
Don't say if. It's got to.
I'll say Marmion 35-7.
Okay. All right.
You guys are just going to run through the West Suburban Catholic League, just get your ass kicked by a different team every year.
Thanks so much for making us part of your morning. We're back here bright and early at 5 a.m. Now here is Mike Scott.
Elmhurst College closed again due to threatening graffiti. Teacher strike keeps CPS students out of class for a 9th day. WIND Chicago News Time is 9 o'clock.
He's a never Trumper. I'm Dave Anthony.